Welcome to the Committee of the Whole of the Cape Coral City Council. Today is April the 8th, 2026. This meeting now comes to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Mayor Gunter,
Here.
council members Donnell,
Here.
Kadu,
Here.
Kilrain,
Here.
Lastra,
Here.
Lehman, Long,
Here.
Steinke,
Here.
all present.
Thank you. Just a reminder, anyone who wishes to participate later on in the agenda for citizens input, ask that you fill out a card exactly where those two individuals are standing now. And put it in the box, and the city clerk, once we get to that part of the agenda, will call you up by name. Item 4A is a discussion. Number 1 is utility permitting Kaizen presentation. I'll turn it over to Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning. Wanted to give my staff an opportunity to present to you one of the recent outcomes of a Kaizen event. As you all know, when the federal government launched its DOGE program, I had launched a very similar program internally called BTC, which is the Bureau of Transformative Change, utilizing lean government principles. And those initiatives required bringing in interdepartmental staff to look at ways that we can improve and be more efficient with our processes in order to eliminate waste. And waste comes in many ways in government. It comes by delays, rework, transportation, time, just sitting, waiting. And so more recently, the last couple of weeks, we had a Kaizen event on utility permitting. And I thought it was an opportunity for you all to see how these teams come together and what they do for our residents and the benefits of having launched BTC using lean government principles. So with that, I'm going to turn it over and let staff show you what they were able to do in their event. Thank you.
Good morning, members of the City Council and City Manager. Thank you for the opportunity to present today. My name is Myra DeLeon. I'm here to share the results of our recent Kaizen focused on improving the utilities permitting process here in Cape Coral. What you're about to see represent weeks of dedicated work by cross-functional teams committing to making services faster, more accurate, and more efficient for our residents and contractors. This work was carried out by a team we call the Utilities Permitting Bandits, because we set out to steal back lost time and wasted effort from our current process. The team includes Holly Grayett, Steve Brightbill, Joe Gonzalez, Michael Coles, Brenda Wetzel, and Lori Taylor, all under the leadership of team lead Myra DeLeon. We also had expert guidance from our lean consultant, Wayne Piorio, with Lean Breakthrough. This was a truly team effort, and I want to acknowledge each of them for their contributions.
Let me start by framing what we were trying to accomplish. The scope of this Kaizen event had 5 clear goals. First, reduce the overall utility connection processing time by 25%. Second, improve permit completion and closeout time by 25%. Third, eliminate the need for separate septic abandonment permits. Fourth, create a system to expose process stops so we can sustain and continue improving over time. And fifth, develop standard work and train our office staff on the new process so these improvements stick. These weren't aspirational goals, they were specific targets we held ourselves accountable to throughout the event. To achieve that scope, we focused on 3 core objectives. The first was to improve documentation accuracy because garbage in means garbage out, and too much of our staff's time was spent correcting contractor submissions. The second was to eliminate avoidable delays, streamlining the number of permits required and removing bottlenecks that had no value-added purpose. And the third was to standardize review steps so that every employee follows the same process using the same information every time. We will walk you through each of these in detail.
I'd like to start with the documentation accuracy. The core issue was contractors were submitting incorrect or incomplete applications repeatedly with no consequence for doing so. They were uploading a wildlife affidavit with incorrect addresses, strap number errors, and missing signatures, all which required our staff to follow up, correct, and reprocess. The root cause was simple. There was no penalty for making errors. Contractors could submit incorrect information over and over again without any financial consequence, and our staff bore the burden. Our solution addresses this on 2 fronts. First, we eliminated the separate wildlife affidavit form entirely by incorporating it directly into the online permit application. This removes a major source of errors because the affidavit is now utilizing the information provided during the permit application. In addition to the wildlife affidavit, we also receive other documents, for example, the chlorination letter and potable water gravity sewer affidavit prior to the closing of the permit. For our second suggestion, we are proposing a $20 administrative fee for each resubmission after the first for any document that must be submitted after their first attempt. This creates a financial incentive for contractors to get it right, which directly reduces the volume of corrections our staff must process. This is a screenshot of the wildlife affidavit showing the questions embedded directly into the online CSS application. It's a simple but meaningful change that ensures the affidavit is always included, always associated with the correct address, and always completed before submission can occur, which now prevents the errors that staff has encountered previously. Here's another documentation accuracy fix that may seem small, but has a significant impact on staff workload. Contractors and homeowners were submitting the application in mixed case with a combination of uppercase and lowercase, and our staff had to manually convert everything to uppercase for standardization. They were also frequently admitting or providing an incorrect strap number because it wasn't a required field, nor was it being verified against our GIS system. We've solved both of these issues. The workflow now automatically converts all text entries to uppercase so that staff is no longer doing this manually. The strap is now a required field on the application and cannot be submitted without it. We've also added clear instructions on the city's website to help users find their strap number. ITS has also implemented a strap verification check to ensure the strap number entered is actually valid for City of Cape Coral. These changes alone will save our team a significant amount of time each week. Next, I'd like to talk about the eliminating avoidable delays. One of the biggest insufficiencies we've identified was contractors were required to submit 2 separate permits to complete a utility connection permit and a septic abandonment permit. We asked why these were separate and couldn't find a process-driven reason, so we changed it. We've consolidated these 2 permit types into a single combined permit, only utilizing the utility connection permit. To put this in perspective, between July 1st, 2025 and March 8th, 2026, we processed 1,001 septic abandonment permits. By consolidating this process, we estimate this will eliminate the need for approximately 1,400 additional permits under the current North 1 West UEP project, representing a roughly 50% reduction in permit volume. It's a dramatic reduction in workload for both our staff and our applicants. We've also tackled the delays for the property owners and contractors caused by unpaid fees. Under the old process, permits could be submitted and reviewed even when fees had not been paid yet, meaning staff was spending time reviewing applications that couldn't move forward and spending time invoicing the fee and then waiting for the contractors to pay. Effective May 1st, 2026, we have now made payment a prerequisite to review the payment per the notice to industry. This eliminates wasted effort and speeds up the overall process for applicants, allowing them to pay immediately, eliminating the back and forth between staff and the contractor. Another change we also made was adding fee automation during the permit application process. Fees are now automatically calculated, added to the permit, and invoiced immediately based on the applicant's selections in the application. This eliminates the need for staff to manually add or adjust the fees after submission, so fewer manual touch points means faster processing time and fewer errors.
Our third objective was standardizing review steps. The problem was that our staff were juggling an excessive number of reports just to process a single application. This fragmented approach required employees to manually research information across multiple different sources, which increased review time and introduced inconsistency. Our solution was to create 2 hub cards that replaced those reports. These hub cards display current real-time information directly on the employee dashboard, eliminating the need to run separate reports. Users can easily adjust IT-defined data filters and switch between data sets as needed. The entire team now accesses this data from a single dashboard, helping ensure items are addressed in a timely manner. Additionally, IT integrated several data key fields from GIS and Tyler Utilities into our existing workflow, which went live 2 weeks ago. Employees now have everything they need in one place, significantly reducing research time and creating a more consistent, standardized review process for all applications. This is a visual representation of our previous workflow, and as you can see, it is complex. As property owners and contractors submit utility account applications for UEP connections and for new construction, there are many decision points and many opportunities for an application to stall or require rework. This is what our team analyzed during the Kaizen event, mapping each step to identify where time was being lost and where unnecessary work was being created. And this is our new streamlined workflow. By comparison, you can see that we've removed redundant steps, reduced handoffs, and simplified the path from application submission to utility account creation. The new fields identify UEP areas, mandatory irrigation zone flags, and billing cycle and route, to name a few. The addition of these data fields into the workflow has eliminated the clerk from researching this information in various software systems. The changes I've described, the consolidated permit, the automated fees, the hub cards, mandatory strap and fee fields all contribute to this cleaner, faster process. Our goal is a 25% reduction in processing time, and this new workflow is designed to deliver exactly that.
Before we get to our next steps, let's highlight what we've already accomplished, our quick wins. These are process efficiency changes that we've already implemented or are currently in the process of completing. We modified the online utilities application to enforce consistent uppercase data entry formatting and require scrap numbers. We consolidated the septic abandonment and utility connection permits into the online application workflow. We required permit fees to be paid upfront prior to staff review. We incorporated the wildlife affidavit directly into the CSS application. We consolidated multiple reports into hub cards that are displayed on the employee dashboard. We automated the fee calculation within the online application workflow based on the applicant's selections. And we have proposed the $20 resubmittal fee after the first erroneous resubmission. These are not abstract future plans. These are process efficiencies we have already accomplished or are in the process of completing now. Here's a roadmap for the implementation tasks that were outstanding from our initial Kaizen event in early March, some of which have already been initiated. Steve and Jonathan have already completed the changes to the application workflow. Holly and Jonathan will consolidate the utilities application and create a new user interface by May 31st. Holly and Steve have updated the standard operating procedures that are used by their staff. Joe and Steve have added a hyperlink to the septic abandonment form online, and the irrigation subplan automation is currently in progress. Finally, Ryan and Steve will complete the permit closing automation by April 30th. Each of these tasks has a clear owner and a firm deadline. Let me close by returning to what we originally set out to accomplish. Our deliverables were to reduce overall connection processing time by 25%, improve permit completion and closeout time by 25%, eliminate the need for a separate septic abandonment permit, create a system to expose process stops so that we can sustain improvement, create standardized workflow and train office staff on this new process, and to establish a sustainment system so that we can answer the question, are we continually improving? We're confident that the changes that we've implemented and the next steps that we've outlined will achieve each of these objectives. This is our current state value stream map, a detailed visual of every step, wait time, and handoff in the utilities processing, permit processing. It's really complicated and impossibly hard to follow, isn't it? This process map captures the full complexity of what our team was tasked to work with. This map was critical in helping us to identify where delays were occurring, which steps added no value, where process breakpoints would likely occur, and most importantly, where the biggest opportunities for process improvement existed. It served as our baseline, and everything that we've improved can be traced back to what we find here. In fact, there are 77 process steps in this map, 10 of which have now been either combined or eliminated through our Kaizen recommendations. In closing, we'd like to thank Council for your time and for your support of continuous improvement efforts like this one. The Utilities Permitting Bandits set out to make a meaningful difference for our residents and contractors who rely on these services, and for the dedicated utility staff who process these applications every day. We believe that we have done just that. We are committed to sustaining these improvements, measuring our progress, and continuing to improve. Thank you, and we're happy to answer any remaining questions.
Thank you very much. I'll open up for any council discussion. Councilmember Donnell.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for the presentation. Mr. City Manager, I would just imagine on the last piece where it talked about establishing a sustainable system to monitor, that we have a data subset before we implement this and something after, so it could be presented and we can compare that we're meeting those goals. Is that somewhere already in place?
Yes, we already have metric in place for permit types and review times, days to issue, time to close out from start to finish. So we already have the before, and we already will be able to compare the after.
Thank you. That's all. Thank you.
Councilmember Kilrain.
Yeah, Deming would have been proud of you guys way back when he was doing Toyota many years ago. Listen, the basics under which you took this was to get the employees who were involved in the process, improving the process. And that's the whole key to everything, because you guys know what's happening. You can make it work and you live with it every day. And you're the one who benefits mostly from it. Although this will be a benefit to the residents from a dollar standpoint in their pocket every time they do a project, and the contractors. And I guess the next step to this will be, publishing those 4 or 5 key metrics and making sure that we're able to communicate how well the system is doing from a comparison standpoint each month as we go forward. So thank you very much for all the effort. It's a great process. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember.
Thank you, Mayor.
Councilmember Lehman.
Yeah. Out of curiosity, what's the average cost of a permit to abandon a well and handle the septic situation?
There's no cost for the city's utility permit to the resident. The only fee collected is the $100 septic abandonment fee, which is surrendered back to the health department, and possibly a meter installation fee of $325 on a single family.
Okay, but now another question, and I think Mr. City Manager, you'd have to answer this. If you have a resubmission for whatever reason, $20, does $20 cover the, number one, the aggravation, number two, the time to have to re-review it after a resubmission? Does that $20 cover it?
So it's a good question. I think first you have to step back. This Let me just explain a little bit about this permit. So what we're talking about here is a property that currently does not have water and sewer. It could be in the southwest, could be in the southeast, or any of the new areas that we're going to in the north as we do utility expansion. So the first thing is what's paying for these utility services. The reason there is no cost is because it is a service that the Water and Sewer Fund is providing its customers. So what's actually paying for this service is water and sewer rates. So when you look at it, if I'm coming in to become a utility customer, we want to make sure you get connected, want to make sure you follow the right steps by abandoning a septic, you connect to the water and sewer system appropriately, that there's not illegal connections that could cause backflow issues or cross connections. And so what we're doing is we're providing a service to our future customer. The issue that happens is when staff starts looking at what are all the reasons that we're getting resubmissions, they were finding that they were leaving out the OWL affidavit. They were finding out that they were making an error typing in, maybe a mistake in the strap. And so it was actually pulling up a strap from another city or outside of the area. So what they try to work to do is first of all, get rid of the ability to make those errors, because that would cause a delay in time, right? If we're providing this as a service to a potential customer, we also need to make sure that the system doesn't allow unnecessary waste. And that's what they were seeking to get rid of. So now that they've removed once they fully implement the last automation, and the system basically becomes dummy proof that you can only submit for properties in the city, you have to submit your OWL affidavit at the time of application. It's on a strap that exists on a resident that on a parcel that has water, sewer, irrigation, and so forth. Now what we can do is say, all right, since we've made the system foolproof, it doesn't make sense for the water and sewer ratepayers to then start subsidizing the cost of the failure on the applicant's end. So until we clean up our side, right, then it's appropriate. We need to make sure our system was tight and the process was foolproof. Now, if they make mistakes, it's a bona fide issue on their end. The $20 may or may not be a full cost recovery. The team has proposed that. We would obviously have to come to council and get approval to make that an implementable fee. Administration can't just create fees. We have to get council approval. But what they're recognizing and what they propose to management and executive staff at the outcome of their process review was, hey, it's okay to, if we're going to provide this as a service, that's fine. But when we have contractors who are making multiple resubmittals with errors, it's not fair to the ratepayers to start subsidizing a business failure. So that'll be a future discussion. If you all want to look at that, we could look at what the actual cost is. But you notice it said proposed. We did not implement that only because that takes a legislative approval.
I think down the road we do, if a contractor is, lack of a better way to put it, screwing up on an application, yeah, I think we need to examine what the actual cost is, because let's face it, it's a pain if you got to go through multiple reviews because of contractor error. It's not city error, it's contractor error. And I think it needs to be covered. Thank you. Thank you.
Councilmember Steinke.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for the report. Thank you for the work that was done. And thank you to executive staff for having our own internal people involved in it. I know when our people are involved in it, the actions taken as a result of the work has a much greater degree of implementation rate. So thank you for that. And I think all of us will look forward to the implementation of the steps determined in the outcome. I did have just a couple questions with the wildlife affidavit. Does that then initiate a visual inspection to confirm what has been submitted?
Based on the applicant's responses and based on So we have a layer in our GIS system where all the nests are flagged. And if the contractor says there's no nests and our system says there's no nests, we process. If there's conflicting information between those two, or there's a yes answer, it goes for an environmental review.
Okay, thank you. In the septic tank abandonment, is there a compaction test that is done at the completion of the septic tank abandonment? Is that part of the process?
I believe it is, but I'd have to reuse, that's a health department's inspection. So we permit it here at the city to make it easier for residents to get that permit without going to the health department. But the inspection is actually performed by the health department. So I can get an outline of what exactly they do during that inspection.
Okay, all right, thank you. Because I have seen in past projects where after the septic tank is abandoned, several weeks thereafter, you get to see the pit in the yard where the septic tank used to be because it was abandoned but wasn't properly filled after it was abandoned with proper compaction. So, and last, I also would support taking a look at what the actual cost of resubmittal is. And if this is supposed to be, if the $20 is supposed to be a preventative measure, that's not a very strong prevention to somebody that's just moving and grooving and getting, well, hey, if they don't accept it, we'll fix it next time around. And I gotta believe that the time involved in processing that resubmittal has got to be more than $20. But that's just looks good from my house evaluation. But the other thing that it does is it prevents someone that is applying properly to be delayed in them getting through the process quickly. So I think that needs to be a deterrent that not only pays for the cost, but also puts the onus on that contractor to make sure it's done right the first time. So it doesn't hurt the other contractor that applies it properly, that they're getting delayed in getting through the system. So it kind of helps out in a couple different directions. That's it for me. Thank you.
Councilmember Long?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, this is great. These are the kind of changes that really make tangible, impacts and benefit the organization all the way through. I obviously understand you got to start somewhere, so this is a good spot. I just want to make sure I understood correctly, because to me, since there's some overlap in what I do in my work, and I think it has the potential to change or have the most impact. When we talk about the strap errors and the issues there, I know it's kind of convoluted in the way it's summarized here, but when you say they're inputting the incorrect strap errors in, we're having to come in and spend effort and time into making sure that's correct. And now we're working on fixing that. You say at one point, we basically are referring them to the website that shows where they can get their strap number, but then there's also later in the same slide, or maybe the next slide, talking some discussion about IT coming in to implement strap validation. Now, is that after the fact, or is that a direct input on the software as we're putting that in? Because that's where you're going to see the most changes, is if we do it on the front end. And a lot of this is software limited, and frankly, a lot of this is really cleaning up the software that we're stuck with. But what you'll see if you go to other agencies throughout the state or municipalities is when you type in these addresses, it'll auto-populate. That's what I'm referring to. Is that what we're talking about here, or is this?
So our first phase that's already been implemented, the strap validation, is just number one, ensuring that the contractor, the resident enters a strap, and that strap is a valid strap in Cape Coral.
Okay.
Our second piece, which is going to roll out hopefully by the end of May, will be site address and strap validation along with ownership information, so that there's no misspelled street addresses. And a customer can still be able to check a box and say, hey, I'm a new owner. This is not my current information, and be able to type it in. But it will bring all that in, so there's less data entry.
Okay, it'll auto-populate a lot of those. Yeah, the county does that. I call your county property appraiser. Lee County does it, and that's going to, as you know, obviously is going to significantly increase efficiency. So I just want to make sure I understood that correctly. But yeah, that's great work, guys, and I'm looking forward to seeing the results. That's it, Mayor. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'd like to also echo what my colleagues have said. This is, a great exercise where we are making sure that we're as efficient as we can, possibly save tax dollars. But more importantly, when the customer walks through the door, that the process is a little more streamlined and more efficient. So I I commend, the city manager and your staff on everything that, all the work that you put into this. And I think the more that we do this in a variety of other areas, it's only going to benefit us as an organization. And I think having staff involved, that way you're getting their buy-in, their input, I think is important as well, because they're the ones that's doing that operation day after day. So a lot of times they have the recommendation. They know what's working, what's not working, more so than maybe your office. So having them involved along the process, I think, is extremely important for the success. And I look forward to later on, once these changes are implemented, to going back and looking to see how beneficial they were. So thank you very much. And thank you, staff, for everything you've done. All right, let's move on to the next topic of discussion, which is A2, which is the Cape Coral Dragon boat presentation. And I'll turn it over to City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. City Council had asked us to put together a presentation on possible location for the Dragon Boat Club in the city of Cape Coral. And so I'm going to turn this over to Parks and Rec.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. Joe Petrella, Parks and Recreation Director. The reason we're here today is we had a request from the Cape Coral Dragon Boat Club to provide storage in one of our parks. We're going to be talking about the location and a little bit of a discussion about where it will be. As you know, previously they had given you a presentation, but we want to just give you the Parks and Recreation side of things and why we support this. First of all, in the 2016 master plan update, top priority facility needs citywide identified boating and kayak parks, and the top priority program needs citywide identified sailing and boating programs. Also, in our 2026 preliminary results, we've noticed a high priority park facility amenities identified boat ramps and kayak launches, and high priority programs and services needs identified outdoor recreation. And that plan should be, master plan should be out for a public viewing in the next month or two, sorry. Our proposed location is at Crystal Lake Boat Ramp on the east side, northeast side of the ramp. The ramp is on the west side, but we're looking at a space on the northeast, and you can see it outlined in the red on your screens. So, as I said, we identified unassigned property at Crystal Lake Park. The proposed space is west of the park, near the boat ramp. Being on the west side of the overlook separates the proposed storage place from the park. This location will allow the club to launch into the canal system. We have no plans for programmatic use of that space at this time. We've already, the Dragon Boat Club did present to you at a previous council meeting. I just wanted to provide you these slides to give you an understanding of what dragon boating is. I don't need to go through those since they've already covered that in previous presentation. Same thing, it's a very popular program throughout the world. They definitely have a good showing here in Southwest Florida. And, they've been a really good supporter of Parks and Recreation and been really good to work with in this process. They've had a lot of good club accomplishments. We've covered that previously, so I don't want to take too much time talking about that. They're here to answer any questions that you may have after, but again, we covered this in a previous presentation. They were originally asking for just a 50-foot by 25-foot. We've proposed a little bit larger of a space just in case they have room for growth or if they have additional storage needs. So that's why we have that bigger footprint, which I think it was, like I said, was 65 by 55, I think it was. Yep, 65 by 55. And it has a 48-foot clearance from the road, so they have enough room to maneuver their boats and get them over to the ramp. Their plan is to use trolleys, right, to pull them over? Yep. So that's where they're going to store their wheeled boat dollies there. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to take them. I'm sure there's a representative from the Dragon Boat here that will answer any questions you may have.
Mr. Petrella, I know I had asked over the weekend the amount of membership that this particular organization has, and also how many of them are Cape Coral residents. Could you provide that information as well, please?
Yeah, let me pull up that email. Sorry, Mayor, I didn't pull it up. I should have pulled it up earlier.
Well, usually I don't ask the question unless I know the answer, so I'll go ahead and give it to you. 46 members is what you had stated that they had, and 27 of those members reside, which is about 55% of their membership is what you had.
That's what I provided, yes. Yep.
So I just wanted to, put that on the record and make sure all my colleagues, knew that information as well. So with that, I'll open it up for any discussion from council. Councilmember Steinke.
Thank you. Just a quick question. How long is the commitment in that location?
Oh, did we do Don, do you remember, did we do a 10-year on that? I think that's the part of the discussion here, setting that commitment. I don't think we've set a commitment time on it, on the term sheet, did we?
So before you all, when they presented to you all, council asked us to come back with some possible solutions that we think were a fit. And so what we're presenting to you today is a possible location that is a good fit. We've spoken to the club. They are acceptable to this. If you all are okay with this, then we would go back to our normal process, work up an agreement, and then bring that back to you.
Okay, great. I mean, I think if it's suitable for them, I think it's a great location. It's certainly out where they shouldn't be disturbed, too much. They'd be able to use the vessels without, much interference, and probably quite a while before that area is developed. So I think it's a good location. Thanks.
Councilmember Lehman.
Yeah. The three of us have discussed this at great length. With them being at Crystal Lake Park, we are still talking about the railroad ties to elevate the boats so that they are not sitting on the ground, and then stone underneath the railroad ties, correct?
If that's the requirement the council wants us to continue to preserve, we'll put it in the term sheets, yes.
That's what we had talked about. In fact, you had said previously, because I have met with you and the Dragon Boaters to work out where we needed to.
Could I just clarify? I'm Trish Coons. I'm the team leader, head coach of Cape Coral Dragon Boat Club. And I just want to clarify that at this site, at the proposed, it's at the Crystal Lake Boat Ramp site that we're talking about, not the Crystal Lake specifically. And also, we would be keeping and storing our boats on the trailers. So we would not have the need for railroad ties at this location. Railroad ties, when we were talking about possibly storing at the Burnt Store Boat Ramp, that was something we were talking about, but that would not be necessary at the Crystal Lake Boat Ramp.
Okay.
Yeah, they're storing them on the trailers, which is actually better for them, so they don't have to keep lifting them and storing them, so.
That's fine. And there at Crystal Lake, there is ample parking for your trailers. You're talking about keeping the trailers there on a long-term basis, or you're talking about trailing them every time you are practicing, or?
They're asking them to store them at that property, so yes.
They
it'll
are
be
going to store
yes.
them on the property?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Thank you for the clarification. Thank you, Trish.
Yeah, I got a couple questions for you, ma'am, if you could maybe stay up at the podium. Just so I get a good understanding, because it sounds like if we move forward with this, there'll be a term sheet that'll come back at a later time. So I guess it's better to try to clarify what that term sheet may look like. So you're going to keep the Dragon boats on the trailer, and I'm assuming you'll hook up the trailer, move it around to the boat ramp, and put the Dragon boat in the water that way, or do you pick them up off the trailer, stick them in the water manually? How does that work?
We're looking at getting a dolly that we're going to take them off of the trailer, put them on the dolly, and walk the dolly around to the boat ramp at this point. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And when they are on the trailer, how high do you think they're sticking up off the ground? So in other words, if the trailer's 3 feet off the ground, 4 feet off the ground, and then you have
I'd say about 4 feet, max, yeah.
about 4 feet?
Yes.
And that's while it's on the trailer?
Yes.
Okay. And how many trailers and boats do you think?
3 trailers. We have 3 boats. We have 2 big boats and 1 small boat. Big boat is a 20-person boat, small boat is 10-person boat.
All right, so you're thinking you're going to have about 3 trailers and
Yes.
three boats up there?
Yes.
Okay, all right. I know there's not a lot of houses up in that area at this time. One of the things that concerns me is very similar to the rowing club, just the aesthetics and trying to keep that somewhat blocked from view from the residents that do live there now or the residents that may become in the future. Would you be able, and I don't know what your financial situation is with your club, to put some type of fencing up or landscaping or buffering so you can't see those trailers and vessels? Would you have the means available in order to do that?
Well, we don't have deep pockets. We're a 501c3 self-funded club. We have dues, and which, of course, we like to keep reasonable so that we get as many people as possible. We would be open to discussion on this. It's not something I'm prepared to talk about right now, but we certainly would talk about it. We'd be open for discussion.
Yeah, for me, that would be something, because even when you pull up Google Earth and you look at that particular area up there, there are a few residents, and I think we have to be good neighbors. So some type of fencing or buffering, I think, would be, I would like to see as a requirement. I don't know what the term of the lease is, but that's something, if it's a longer term lease, that I think would be something that, at least if you're making that investment, you'll be utilizing it for, a period of years. It's not like you're going to be there for a year and then leaving, I would assume. So that's my only concern, is to have some type of, if you're only 4 feet off the ground, a 6-foot type privacy fence going around it or something of that sort, in order to show the residents in the area. I understand that, you have 50 or so people as far as membership, but we have hundreds of houses in the area. So to me, I think we have to make sure that we're a good neighbor. So that would be one of the requirements that I would like to see. Councilmember Kilrain?
Yeah, Mayor, just in our one-on-one yesterday, you showed an area in which the city has lots on a horseshoe, and the one leg of the horseshoe, it looked like it would be amenable to a fairly small fence line, and that would perhaps block most of the visual in that area. If you just put that up there, I think it'll clarify for the mayor. And
What you're seeing there is the northern part of that horseshoe. So the boat ramp is on the left side, the unidentified future use is on the right side, but that's like a zoomed in picture of the same site. That squiggly, there you go.
yeah. And if you just came on that diagram, just come forward a little bit down below that block, you have an area there that could be a fairly short fence line and cover most of the visual there. So. Thank you, Mary. Just wanted to have that up.
Just those, could you go back to that?
Yep.
Previous? Some of those parcels there, kind of in the middle and I guess that would be south, are they improved or vacant? When I pull up Google Earth, I see 1, 2, 3, 4 houses that improved dwellings on that particular roadway from the middle down to the curve. So is that still accurate?
There are 4 houses there.
4 houses, yeah. So, and the one being about in the middle there of Crystal Lake, on that particular south or northwest, what is that, 16th place? And, so I think we have to make sure that we're a good neighbor. So that's why some type of buffering, I think, needs to be required, privacy fence or something like that. going around. Looks like that parcel is about 3,575 square feet that they're asking to utilize. And that red parcel there, Mr. City Manager, how much of that is city-owned? That horseshoe, is that all that horseshoe going all the way around? Is that all city property? Yes. Okay. So we know there's not going to be any, any residents across the canal that we'll have to worry about.
We bought all the properties on the east side of the boat ramp so that nobody ever had the expectation or had to deal with having the boat ramp in their backyard.
Right.
So for future parks use, because of that, we bought those properties. And also, we have the scenic overlook there. If you're at the top of the hill, we also didn't want people looking down into people's houses. So it was for multiple reasons that it made sense for us as part of the park to acquire those properties.
Okay. All right. Was that you have another question?
No, I'm done. I'm fine.
All right. Councilmember Steinke.
Thank you, Mayor. And then those properties or in the surrounding area of the boat ramp itself, what's the accommodation for parking there?
So this is a under construction aerial, I think probably taken from Google Earth, but right now the boat ramp on the west side is completely installed with a launch dock. There is parking that runs basically the entire side, the west side, and then up and around the north side, basically to where that red box is. And then just north of that in the corner is a public restroom. So you've got parking all the way around sides and then a public restroom right there.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other?
I just thought of one other
Go
thing.
ahead.
The other thing with respect to the dragon boats coming out into the spreader, it's a low populated area compared to other areas. So I think the safety factor with this location is probably pretty positive compared to other locations. It's also much further north. So for years, it's probably going to be less populated in this area than what people have been experiencing that were down by Chiquita Lock with the high density in that part of the city. So from a safety standpoint, I think there's balance in this area that's going to be afforded to us over the years, for many years anyway, before we get to a condition that we're equal to what is down in the south of the city. So thank you. I just want to bring that point up too. Thank you.
All right, Mr. City Manager, you get the information, or do you want us to go down the line that yes, because I know some council members hasn't spoke, so we have at least a majority consensus. I think, it's either a yes or a no. If it's a yes, or is there any restrictions? I know I noticed, I mentioned some type of buffering or fence requirement, but any other restrictions, I guess we'll just go down the line. Councilmember Kaduke, you want to go ahead and start?
Yes to having them there?
Mhm.
Sure, yeah.
Any restrictions?
I mean, I guess we'll talk about that. So I'm open for now.
No, for me.
Yes, for me. I mean, we for 500 miles of canals, I think we have to have a feature that allows boating and rowing and other things here. So yes, for me. And I think we do need some kind of buffer. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm okay with it as long as there's some type of a buffering. I mean, that could be a deal breaker for me. Some type of a privacy fence of some sort where they park their trailers in. We're only talking, about 50 members, only half of them are residents. I think our job is to make sure that we are protecting the best interest of the residents that live in that area. So we just don't have trailers parked around that are open and visible. To me, I think would protect the best interests of the residents in the area. So for me, that would be my only, my restriction.
Yeah, I just did some quick calculating. It's for the typical privacy fence, vinyl privacy fence, average cost is probably be somewhere around $8,500 to provide that type of buffering for me. So I would want to see buffering for them as well. And but I'd be in favor of that location.
Yes.
I'm a yes, and I agree with having some type of buffering there. If we're gonna, we already have that situation in Tropicana, and as this area develops more, I think we just need to be proactive with it. Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, I'm on board too, but be aware it's gonna come back about the buffering. So you guys can bring some ideas so we can get it done all at once. So, great. I'm good.
Good. I'll give you the direction you're looking for, Mr. City Manager.
It did, yes.
All right. All right, thank you very much. Appreciate you coming here today. And we'll move on to item 3 on the agenda. It's the Cape Coral Rowing Club license agreement at Tropicana Park discussion. And I will turn it over to our Parks Director.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. Joe Petrella, Parks and Recreation Director. This is a continuation of our discussion of the Cape Coral Rowing Club. Request to use Tropicana Park as a storage location for theirs. I do have the February 11th presentation that we provided you at a previous COW. So if you want to go through it again, let me know. Or if you just want to open up the discussion and have that continued dialogue.
And Mr. City Manager, what direction are you looking for here today?
City Council added this to the agenda after the discussion at the last meeting. You all asked to have it placed on the agenda.
Okay. All right. I'll open up the floor then.
Just a refresher, I think what happened was a couple of council members started expressing some concerns about the concrete material for the wall or the buffer. And so that was the genesis of adding it to today's COW.
Okay. Councilmember Laster.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, it was my understanding that we were to discuss a different type of material for 2 reasons. Number one, the aesthetics of a concrete wall in the middle of the park, and then also the cost that's associated with putting that type of material up. And the third thing that I believe we wanted to potentially discuss was having more of a natural buffer, similar to what we just told these individuals for the Dragon Boat Club. Be able to have potentially a metal fence with slats and then buffering with greenery, natural buffering. And I think that was the purpose, and we were going to discuss that. Now, I don't know, Mr. Petrella, if we want Sandra from the rowing club to speak to kind of talk about her findings and maybe give us recommendations. I know that when I spoke with her and some of the members of this club, the cost was obviously a concern. And being able to put a fundraising plan together that quickly wasn't going to be feasible. I will help that club with that soon. But I think, to get this off the ground and to be able to secure this agreement, we wanted to potentially hear about some other options and then see if City Council would agree that, we could change from a concrete fence to something else. Thank you, Mayor.
Good morning, Sandra Weston, Cape Coral Rowing Club. This picture is just meant to illustrate where the storage area is intended to be located and where the sight lines are to residents. So we're looking at this spot right here. And so that area would be the area that would have sight line. You can see on the north side of the park, which is to the right, there is a full-length wall separating West Cape States from the park. And then obviously you have water and the retention pond area to the south. There are a couple of homes on Old Burnt Store Road that you can see. I'm not sure what's up with the corner lot, Dawn, if that is. Yeah, the roundabout I know is going to be in that area.
This is currently vacant.
Right, but is this buildable?
No,
Okay.
the city purchased that corner lot. The city purchased the corner lot at this intersection as part of the roundabout.
Okay. So it does look like that the primary sight line will be from the residences right there on Old Burnt Store Road. So we looked at a bunch of different options. The reason that everyone uses chain link is because it's permeable and the wind can go right through it, right? And our chain link has not much else survived Ian, but our chain link did. And, it survived Milton and Helene, et cetera. So, I mean, that's the reason people use it. It's affordable. Sure, that helps. But a slatted chain link fence in Tropicana Park is $50,000. So, it's not going to be free. Panel fencing is an option. I think everybody knows that panel fencing usually ends up in the neighbor's yard after a wind event. The only panel fencing that I could find, and again, this is just one person investigating, was this particular product here called Barrier Boss. They have wild claims. I did send an email with some links so that you can see what their claims are. Their wind resistance is right up near 100. So panel fences make me a little bit nervous for the same reason. This one is steel, which is better than aluminum, I believe. And it has a bunch of claims. Everybody thinks steel, salt air, salt water, rust. How horrible would that look? They claim it doesn't rust, but that's something that would be attractive, I believe, at that east end, sort of cutting off visibility of any boat storage from those residents. We could go natural. There's one natural option. That's a hedgerow at a crew parent's house. And then obviously we have the clousier, however you say that, another natural hedge version. The upside of natural is obvious. It's a green space, and having a green hedge would be fitting. And we would be happy to plant that natural hedge for the full 80-foot stretch along the east end of the park, blocking visibility from any equipment behind. Same thing with the fencing. The fencing would be a hedge. I think I gave numbers. I don't have those memorized off the top of my head, but a hedge planted, you're probably looking at a little less than $10K. The fencing material is a little more expensive. Finding a contractor who will put it together may or may not be dodgy. I don't know. It's one of those deals where you have to buy the actual material kit, and then you have to find somebody who's willing to install that material. It's not going to be something that I can find an installer who does it all the time right in our backyard. So 12 to 15, maybe a little more. We could also put a full 80-foot run of concrete. We could put a concrete wall there, 80-foot run of concrete, and that would be stuccoed on the outside and painted whatever color you like. And we're probably looking at somewhere around 38 to 40K for that, with decorative caps, etc. Again, I'm talking about the 80-foot run on the west end, because that buffers sightlines to people outside the park. If we want to make it invisible to everybody, including other people who are just boating inside the park, then we could certainly do what's been done at the lift station 100 feet to the north. That's the lift station at the Tropicana Park right now. And a slatted fence, full perimeter, would be about $50,000. That's using quotes from people who do fencing already in the Cape. And so that's where we would be with buffering options.
Okay. Thank you. Could you also, I know Joe had sent the information on the amount of members that you have and how many of them were Cape Coral residents. Could you maybe go ahead and let us know?
Absolutely. We have 43 members. We just picked up a new one, so we have 44. So 14 of those are adults. 11 of those adults live in the Cape. And we have 29 youth members. 22 of those are Cape residents. We do have an agreement with the Bishop Verot Catholic High School. Shout out to our Bishop Verot kids who are on Easter break and here today. That is a club sport. Crew rowing is a club sport at Bishop Verot High School. So, that's why we get a few kids from across the bridge, of course.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Kilray?
Yeah, I'm going to begin with a statement, and it's probably obvious. The park has been designed in accommodation for the rowing club, pretty much. The turn spaces, the trailer parking with no bump ramp, and the separation of the docks and that type of thing. So I think the question is, do we want to have this feature as part of the Cape? And yeah, I think we already answered that we do. The key to it that I've been puzzled with a little bit has been the safety issue with this location as compared to other locations. And to the extent that, and again, I don't want to mislead you. I'm very much in favor of the rowing club. As I said, I have a grandson that's been mesmerized by rowing now the last couple of years. And if he's not out in the boat, he's on his machine. So I think it's a wonderful thing. The point is, though, if safety really is an issue here, I want to run that down and make sure that we all agree that it is or it is not an issue. And if it is an issue, does it make sense to look at maybe a relocation, even though we have all this invested capital effort into here? And I wouldn't want to do that unless it really is an issue. But I think the safety would override if that's the case. With respect to how many boats might be aligned coming out onto the spreader, you're going to be doing it individually coming out onto the spreader. And when you get on the spreader, that's when you would make your runs, right? Where you'd have several in a racing mode. Or just help me with that, trying to understand the logistics, the size, the radius of turn required for it.
Sure. It'll actually be a lot easier to launch from Tropicana. Right now, when we launch from inside, I don't know the name of the canal we launch into, but where we launch right now, we have to come out, launch off of our dock. We have to make an immediate 90-degree turn and another immediate 90-degree turn onto the spreader. And so basically, we're coming from east, a straight east-west short run, and typically turning north so that we can be in the flow of traffic and not against, okay? So when we turn into the traffic lane with traffic, everybody stops, checks traffic, and then eases into that lane. And then we always stay to starboard, just like you're driving. And we will use, usually on weekdays, we will use just the short run in front of the islands. We do that for convenience primarily, and for it's easier to supervise the kids, frankly, because there'll be different sizes of boats, different skill levels, different speeds, and having them on that short run for a short practice. I mean, we're talking about 75 minutes on water. It enables us to just keep eyes and coach that many vessels. It's usually anywhere from 3 to 6 vessels that we put out on the water for a given practice. Leaving Tropicana, there'll be a lot more visibility because of the way that just the landscape of the area. I don't have an aerial of it, but coming out of the dock, you'll be able to get full visibility to the south of the spreader. You'll have full visibility to oncoming traffic coming around the corner from the north and around, and just be a lot easier to know what your traffic situation is. Plus, you'll have a little holding area on the St. Michael Canal. There'll be a little spot where you can actually sit and wait if there's traffic before you proceed out. So it'll never be a situation where you're just blindly jetting out into the spreader.
Okay, thank you. I think that probably if we had our druther on this thing way back when, and Crystal Lake was available, that's where we'd be looking probably to design it and build it there. I just wanted to run that through. I haven't made a decision yet as to some of the other parts with respect to the type of buffering that would be make sense to do. With those numbers that you just described, you had mentioned before that you would be hard pressed to come up with the concrete block type of three-dimensional perimeter. What about your capability on some of these other things?
A full perimeter? Yeah, full perimeter fencing with slats, that's the 50K. So we can do that. The full perimeter concrete is right around 200K, fully built with decorative caps, stucco paint, et cetera. That's why the suggestion is made to do the 80-foot run, because it obscures the equipment from residents and makes us good neighbors. I personally struggle with the need to obscure inside the park because it's a waterfront park, and the people across on the 7th Island are going to be launching kayaks and doing outdoor sport. I guess I didn't realize that there was some need to obscure our boats from other boats. But if there is, then yeah, you're talking about $200,000 to put a full concrete compound around all the equipment. If we want to obscure from residents, then certainly there are numerous ways to do that. And they are still expensive, yes, but it's a stretch we can make.
Okay, thank you. Mayor, I think I'd like to just hear from some of the other comments but thank you for now.
All right, I guess I'll jump in here real quick. I can understand the financial impact that the concrete fencing would be. And, for me, if there was some type of, I think that I could concede to maybe some type of other type of fencing that's a little more economical, with maybe some natural buffering in front of it. So it's aesthetically pleasing. I still think it needs to be at least a height where you can't visualize. Now, I know you're not going to be able to plant some type of shrub that's 8 foot tall, but you might be able to do something that's 4 or 5 feet that'll grow that height in a longer time. And I think that would probably might be a little more aesthetically pleasing. I guess I'll be the one to throw the maybe a different view into this. And I know that we have, did some improvements there with the intent of the rowing club being there. But I think it's also important to mention we did it knowing that it's going to be open to the public in general as well. So the residents will be able to go there, go kayaking, and launch there and recover. So for me, we didn't do this solely for the, for the rowing club. When you look at their memberships, 44 members, 22 people, or 29 children, or teenagers, whatever the case may be, and then 11 adults, and 33 of those 44 members live and reside here in the Cape. Something else that I looked at is if you take our UEP area, if you look at North 3 and North 10, which is this area, pretty much Tropicana Park, just south of that, all the way up to Crystal Lake. There's 9,806 residential lots, and 4,445 of them are improved. So just about a little less than 50% are improved. So that's the people, in my opinion, that'll utilize either Tropicana Park or Central Lake. So I think it's very important to keep that in mind in our discussions. For me, that's where we have to really look at what is in the best interest of those residents. As we all know, we've gotten many emails over the last week from the residents that live in this particular area that are opposed to having the rowing club at this particular park, and quite frankly, right in the middle of the park. For me, we just had a discussion for the Dragon Club up near Crystal Lake. For me, I think we know this is going to be a long-term lease for this particular organization. I think that is a much better location to have that particular, both the Dragon Club and the Rowing Club up at that location. Much more room. It's adjacent to the park. It's not in the middle of the park. I think that's important to mention. And I think That's what the residents, that's what they want. So are we here to make decisions for a nonprofit organization? And I think I want to find a home for them. I just don't know if this home is the right place at Tropicana Park. I think up at Crystal Lake, I would like to see both of the clubs up there. I think you have Seven Islands, which is going to be hundreds of $millions of a project. I spoke to the developers there. They have some concerns as well because of all the boat traffic that's going to be in that area. This is an area that the Northwest, they have to go right by here. A good majority of, I just told you from Tropicana North, there's 9,806 residential units. I don't know exactly how many of those are waterfront lots, but there's going to be a good percentage of those are waterfront lots. I think if we could get both of these clubs further north, it's going to be a safer environment for them. Once you get Seven Islands built and the amount of residential units that are going to go in there and the water access for those units, this is going to be a busy area, very, very busy area. So for me, I would concede to the concrete fence and maybe some type of other type of fencing with some natural buffering, but move this club up with the Dragon Boat Club area. If you look at that main canal coming out, it's approximately the same distance that they have that they're going to be utilizing down near the Seven Islands. But once Seven Islands is built, boy, that's going to be a busy area. So since this is a long-term lease, that would be my preference. Maybe to concede on the type of fencing, make sure it's buffered to whatever height that they need that we talked about before, with some type of natural landscaping in front of either a chain link or a panel fence, either one. I think if you put the right landscaping in, you're going to get the same amount of buffering that you won't be able to look in over in a short period of time, as long as you put the right landscaping in place. So that's where I'm at. You look at that 3,500 square foot area up at Crystal Lake, and I think myself and the city manager, when I'd asked a question, our 101 area on that same side, there's about 50,000 square foot of area. So even if they're at 11,300 that they're looking for, the 3,500, we're still around 16,000 square feet. That's not even half of what's on that side of the canal. So that's where I'm at. I think it's just a better fit. And, the community that we designed Tropicana Park will still be able to use it for, canoeing and kayaking down in that area. Councilmember Lehman.
Yeah, thank you very much for bringing out the point about Crystal Lake. To me, the safety factor, having both the Dragon Boaters and the Rowing Club at Crystal Lake, I think in the long run would be a safer situation. Yes, we need the buffering, no question about that. Not only that, as you have also brought out, there are many citizens up around Tropicana that are not happy about the situation. Personally, I think if both clubs were at Crystal Lake, I think it's a safer situation. I think it's a better situation. As far as the cost of the buffering, out of curiosity, what is the cost per child monthly? What do the parents pay the club for their child to participate?
Our published prices on our website are $360 a month for 6 months for high schoolers, $260 a month for 6 months for middle schoolers. But every season we scholarship, and this season we have probably dispensed about $8,500 in need-based scholarships to enable kids to participate.
Okay, and the adults that are members?
Adults that are members, they pay $1,000 a year less than $100 a month, and that's prorated quarterly depending on when they join.
And are there any other memberships that, like an adult, I realize not a child, but that an adult is required to belong to in order to be part of the rowing club?
We have U.S. Rowing Insurance, so there's a $25 U.S. Rowing membership that everybody buys so that they can be covered under our commercial liability policy.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Councilmember Donnell?
Yeah, thank you. Councilmember Long, I get it, what he had mentioned. I'm a little bit off center now because my understanding, we met on the 1st and we dealt with the issue. And we took out number 4. And we were going to talk about specifically the concrete wall. On the 3rd, we get inundated with all these emails. And now I'm having a discussion that I'm not even prepared for. Just wanted to put that out there. With that being said, my comments are specifically for what we pulled it for, because I'm not addressing this movement. Would you mind putting that Elmo piece where you showed the one that shows the park from the aerial view?
Oh,
you can
sure.
see the wall to the side.
Yep.
Yeah, that one. So I actually went out there that on Good Friday, and if you look to the north, you really can't see that retaining wall in this picture. But when I looked at it, the standing right at the beginning, if you put right here getting into the park, put your finger down right where you turn off of that street into the front. There's the entranceway. If you look to your north and see that retaining wall, it really, no disrespect to that community, but it just looks, it's just like a wall. It doesn't look pleasing as far as, that's just my personal opinion. People have opinions. Let's get to the point. If you look up here at the pavilion, where they have the park right here with the blue, if you put there's a black, some chain link fence that looks outstanding. It's great. I had an opportunity to shout out to Neil, one of our workers who was there on point. So you actually go and see it. And if you point to the area that we're talking about, and the young lady was down here where the rowing club would be, right here. You're right. There's only those 2 residents right there to the what's that, the east. That's the only thing when we're talking about the buffering for it. And I even saw the traffic, and yes, it will grow. All that's to say is this: that concrete wall would not look well with where it has right now. It would not blend into what we've already done. So the opportunity for me today, I'm open to the other issues, because we talked about safety and we talked about aesthetics. Those are the 2 driving it. So for the purposes of this conversation, for me, I'm still stuck on the item 4. I am off of the concrete wall. I'm more so into any of the fencing or the natural vegetation, because we can accomplish both. But I want to be honest, the idea of whether they can afford it or not is not really a player, respectfully. We're looking at it from a standpoint of what's best for our citizens, and whatever cost that is what it would be. But that wall will not fit there. For those of us, if you see it, there's other ways that we can make it look. It's a great job. I'm excited. So that's all I have. I haven't commented at all about moving it. I'll just wait and listen. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Cadute. You haven't spoken, I'll go to you.
Thank you, Mayor. I tend to agree with Councilmember Donnell. I thought we were just talking about the wall, which is why this was pulled. For me personally, I'm good with calusias or natural barriers. I use that in my own home, and that is hurricane proof. So it's a park. It should look beautiful. It should be, it's aesthetically pleasing, and I'm all for the calusias or something similar. And I thought that's what we were discussing today, not moving the club completely to a different park. There's videos online that go all the way back to 2020, 6 years ago, where you were District 1 mayor and you guys were discussing this. So I don't know. When we're talking about the Northwest Neighborhood Association blasting us with emails concerning safety, yes, the health, safety, and welfare of all of our residents is our priority. However, it's their priority to make sure that they are safe when they are rowing, when they put those boats in. So I'm sorry that the NWNA doesn't like it, but this is what was agreed upon for them, and now we're changing that. For me, we were here to talk about the fencing. I like natural shrubbery. Thank you.
Councilmember Lassiter.
Same. I like natural shrubbery, and I agree. I think I accidentally replied all last night to a resident who, lots of residents who have these safety concerns. Having been a former rower for college, collegiate, University of Texas, we rode at 5 a.m., we rode at 6 p.m. We rode when there was no boat traffic in the middle of Austin, Texas. It was 300,000 to 500,000 people, 350,000 people in the 80s. And then now it's over 1 million. They still row there. I was in Georgetown a few weeks ago up in DC. And how long has that Ivy League school been rowing? 100 years. They still row in the same thing. And trust me, 100 years ago, they probably didn't have all that development. I guess for me, from my personal experience in this sport, and forgive me for being passionate, I don't see the safety concerns. We vetted this 6 years ago. I talked about that. We talked about the key times. I used to kayak out of Tropicana Park until my kayak blew away during Ian. But the whole dock did. But anyway, I used to kayak out of there and always early in the morning, and there was minimal traffic, even on the weekends. Have you ever had a regatta out there?
Oh, no, we can't have events, primarily because we're in the spreader waterway, which is the only access in and out for boaters. So no events, absolutely
Okay.
not.
Well,
Just
we used to
practice.
have lots of regattas in the middle of Town Lake, in the middle of Austin, Texas, and we would have police there. We would have extra marine detail there when they would the Ivy League schools would come down for spring break. No different than what they do in baseball down south. And for me, this discussion, we already did this. So I just want to enlighten folks that, you row 5 a.m., you row at dusk. You don't row during those peak times. We have tourists that go in, don't we, Mr. City Manager, at Serena Vista Park, kayaks. We have tourist boaters, don't we, that go in there that are probably less experienced than some of these Northwest residents?
Yes, at council's direction, we actually formalized an agreement
I thought
with the
so.
Gulf Coast Canoe and Kayak out of Matlacha to be in Serenia Park, and they launch right into this spreader.
Okay, so then if it's an issue for the rowers, then it should be an issue for the kayakers. And again, seasoned kayakers normally go early in the morning, or, let's say they're tourists and they go in the middle of the day. That's more dangerous than a crew, than an 8 and a 4 getting out in the water, at 5:30 in the morning or 5:30 in the evening. So again, this discussion was to discuss the fence. Mayor and I sat on this council 6 years ago when we discussed this location. We went through all of this. So I get it. It's the same thing like Yellow Fever Creek. You have new residents maybe that have moved in. People are concerned. We talked about the South Islands coming. We talked about that. We talked about the potential for that development. We talked about how they would navigate. And again, if you practice, you don't go at noon on a Saturday. You practice early in the morning and you practice at dusk. So I am with you, Councilmember Kaduk and Mayor, when y'all talked about shrubbery, natural fencing. I agree. I think aesthetically that's going to be the most appealing. And I am not here to change the location of this club. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilmember Kilray.
Yeah, I began my initial discussion by saying if we had our druthers long-term, we would change the location. I think it'd be a better location at Crystal Lake. And we're talking long-term lease. We have our druthers. I think because we said it has to be we're going to do it at Tropicana Park, and we part of the rowing club's requirements into that design. I think that's one parameter. I think the sunken capital, though, is not really all that much sunken. Aren't they floatable docks to a great extent, and some of them can be relocated? And we're going to retain other stuff there for the kayak club, right?
That's the current dock system that we have that's designed for kayaks and rowing. Obviously, it's anchored to the shoreline. We've got a gangplank coming down that now also has handrails that were put in for safety factors. We're putting in some safety ladders on the east and west sides of that. And we're also going to be putting just like life-saving devices up on the shoreline as well. To move this and get it designed at Crystal Lake, I can honestly say I don't see how that would work with that boat ramp. Just my opinion. We'd have to get a lot of engineers probably to take a look at it and architects. But I mean, this was designed for this type of dock, in my opinion.
Okay. Well, there's no harm lost by leaving it there because kayakers will be using it there anyway if the kayak.
Yeah, the kayak is on the west side. There's a kayak launch on that. So they're going to be launching out of there anyway. There's a whole nother dock running north, south that people are going to be launching out of. The spreader is the spreader and it gets busy. But like Councilmember Nelson Lasher said that they're usually leaving for practice early in the morning or later in the evening. I take my Sea-Doo out on the spreader just to put myself out there as a supporter of this. And I don't see any issues. I've seen them out there rowing. They're very safe. And the problem that I've always seen when I'm out there is the boaters at speed on the spreader. That's the problem I have.
This is a community park. So, I mean, it's not done exclusively for the rowing club either. So,
yeah,
if we using it. I guess where I'm at on this, since we're looking at a long-term lease, I see that we have the capability of moving this. And I think that the better location for both the dragon boats and the larger boats for the rowing club is going to be Crystal Lake. So that's what I would be supporting today. I would like to see us talk about location. And, we can talk about buffering requirements. I think they can be lesser if we go to Crystal Lake and make it more appealing to the financial position of the rowing club if we went to Crystal Lake. So it could be a win-win right there. Thank you.
Councilmember Steinke.
Well, it looks like Director Petrell is looking to take a look at something here first.
Currently, there's a seawall right here. The boat ramps over here. This is now, I believe this is riprap that comes right through here, right, Mike? All the way around. Right here. I know, Sandra, you did have some concerns that you just wanted to mention in regards to this and why it doesn't work. So I'll let her talk about this.
The same bank there is what we have at Chapel Hill, all that riprap.
Okay. That's kind of a macro photo. And so with the dragon boaters in the seawall area is not necessarily conducive, but go ahead and switch the picture, Dawn. That's a good one right there. That would be the shoreline. And I sent an email yesterday. I know you may or may not have had a chance to read it, but the safety issue for rowing has nothing to do with boaters. I mean, in fact, we probably have the safest bodies of water I've rowed on because typically they're not speed controlled by any degree whatsoever. And there's not a really clear traffic pattern, especially on lakes. Most people row on lakes and rivers, etc. And I mean, Boathouse Row in Boston is absolutely chock full of boats and motorboats and rowers. Philadelphia, same thing on the Schuylkill. So it's not the boats that we're worried about. I mean, our prior home was in the Cape Harbor Marina. So Councilmember Kilrain, you did mention that the South was the busiest. You're absolutely correct. We sat right in the Cape Harbor Marina with all those boats, and we launched from that spot through a small chute, and we were right outside the Chiquita Lock. And so on Saturday mornings when we returned, we had tons of unpredictable boat traffic, sometimes backed up for 1 mile, that we navigated through. So it's not other boaters. The path to water is the single most difficult issue to solve for rowers. And the reason is because it's got to be safe for portaging boats. Our 8-person boat weighs about 225 pounds. Our 4-person boats weigh about 140 to 150, and they're being carried by minor children over the head. The shoreline that you saw at Crystal Lake, I stood there, and it is about a 12 to 15 foot drop of that riprap. If you go back to this picture of the dock system at Tropicana Park, this dock system is state of the art. It is absolutely state of the art. It was built by AccuDock, which is the same manufacturer that put in all the docks at Nathan Benderson Park, which is the premier U.S. location for rowing. The national team trains there. They have all of the time trials for national team there, and it is easily one of the best. This dock system is actually nicer than what they have at Nathan Benderson. It's much more stable. If you look particularly at the slope of the ramp, you can see the slope of the ramp is manageable. It was put in before the riprap was settled around it. It's strictly important that the bulk of the ramp's weight be supported by land. So you can see how it does have a lot of land, a lot of stability on land. That is to hold the weight. You can't put something that heavy that's also going to have people and boats on it and just set it on a floating dock, because these docks are truly floating. They have control arms that are connected to concrete deadheads. Those concrete deadheads were buried. You can't see them for the riprap, but they are large, square concrete deadheads in the ground, and that's what the control arms are connected to. And then you have the stabilizer cables that just kind of keep the thing all working together to float with the tide. The ramp is the key issue, all right? Without some severe excavation at the Crystal Lake location, there's no safe path to water. The pitch is way too great. I think I sent you pictures of the dock that we repurposed in the current location at the third island, and you can see how soft that slope is. I actually measured it yesterday. It was at mid-tide. It wasn't tide fully in or tide fully out, but that's just under 3 feet above the water. And so that enables those kids to carry that boat down without risk of pitching into the water or dropping the equipment. I mean, as I'm sure you can appreciate, when you're on a severe angle, the person at the bottom on the way down is hating life for a few minutes, and on the way up, it's the other one, you know? So anytime the boat is canted at a severe angle, it becomes ridiculously heavy at one end versus the other. At very low tide at this location, which is suboptimal but workable, where we are right now, the temporary location, at very low tide here, we do have to put extra people on the boat to get it safely down to water. So the issue with Crystal Lake is, without a tremendous amount of excavation to get down to more of a 4 or 5 feet situation above the water line, it's impossible. I mean, it's easy to say go there, but I can't take this little configuration that I managed to make work on the backside of this island and just pull it up there. I can't do that. It's not possible. I can't get into water safely there without a ridiculous amount of investment, frankly. And that's the number one safety issue for rowing, path to water.
Thank you. Councilmember Steinke.
Yeah, thank you. With all that's been said, we're 6 years down the road on this. If I were a member of the rowing club, I would be drooling, wanting to get in the water at Tropicana. It's been designed for that. It's been thought about for 6 years. We're at the finish line. I would not be in favor of moving the location. As far as the buffering, I like the vegetative buffering. My concern has always been the maintenance of that from the standpoint of it staying alive and from it being properly trimmed so it's attractive. And so, for those reasons, I would be more in favor of something like the chain link with slats. To some degree, if it's good enough for the city, then it should be good enough for the rowing club. So if the way we buffer our lift stations and whatnot from a standpoint of resilience, attractiveness, and cost considerations, then it should be good enough for this application as well. So, that's where I would stand on it. I'd like to see something different as far as buffering instead of a concrete, total enclosure to something more aesthetically pleasing, more cost effective, and something that requires little to no maintenance. Thank you.
Yeah, before I go to Councilmember Long, it sounds like we should have put the yacht club on here today because if we are going to use, we've already discussed and decided, the yacht club would be a perfect example. We should be funding it today. We've spent millions there. So we've spent very minimal here, and what we have spent was open to the public anyway. So to say it's already been discussed and decided, if we're going to apply that methodology, let's do that across the board. Councilmember Long, go ahead.
No, you're absolutely correct, Mr. Mayor. I was going to leave that alone, but since you segued into it, it's ironic that some of the individuals that used that argument were the same individuals that discarded it recently when we talked about Yellow Fever Creek with regards to the utility plant, which had been decided several years prior with regards to location, and then those were the most outspoken individuals to about pick it up and move it across the street or Academic Village or what have you. So that has no value to me with regards to the merits or lack thereof of the discussion. But nevertheless, the main reason I was going to press my button here, I just had a thought. I wanted to make sure that I guess I put it on the record or had it clarified on the record. When you're looking at the site plan in our backup materials, it's the overlay with the aerial. I don't know if you, I know you have the Elmo up, but, and I'll talk while you pull that up. But you've got this long floating dock, which was just pictured by Miss Weston, and she had, and it is beautiful, and by her words, state of the art. That access point, I understand those are meant to be accessible by the public. That's fine. Now the ramp that you see that's on like a diagonal in the middle of it, that goes directly into their leased or proposed leased premise. Is that correct?
No.
No,
Okay,
it's
because I'm looking at the other. This isn't the site plan that I was referring to, but if you look at the actual civil, you've got a rectangular area that's further delineated, and this kind of goes right in the middle of it. So my only question was, if that was the case, whether that was going to be accessible, or whether there was, or we're just meant to from the public for as far as land, where you just come in and take that L, and I guess sidestep around that little narrow area to get to those longer docks. That was basically the basis of my question.
Yeah, all those docks are accessible to the public, even when if we're permitted to do it, put the rowing club at Tropicana. There's pathways that lead down to them. They're all ADA accessible. It's designed for entire public use. So it's definitely a well thought out design. Again, it's just a matter of, do we want to store boats here or not?
Well, so that's my question. So this diagonal ramp, you're saying that that's going to be open and accessible to the public from land, the larger one right there. Yep.
Yes, it is.
Perfect. That was my question. And then I guess with regards to, do we have, sure we do. I don't know if you've got it available. The costs of the dock itself.
I do not at this time.
Okay. I mean, there's 100,000,
Yes.
100,000 we're thinking?
The original quotes were around 385,000, and with the control arm situation, I would say you're probably closer to 450, 500.
Okay, yeah. And so I guess my only comment with regards to that, you look at the picture. Can we pull up the other one you had on the Elmo that showed the dock itself? When you have Mayor Gunter bring up the point with regards to, I guess, the membership of the rowing club, and I understand this is public access, but we have a kayak launch right down the street. So this is mostly going to be utilized by the rowing club. You look at the state-of-the-art dock, which again, in my opinion, was for the rowing club, and you're talking about 400 grand. We've got a $10 playground in the back behind it. And so when you do cost benefit with regards to the membership of the rowing club, which I'm personally attributing this $400,000 dock to, and the playground behind it, that's one of the things that I get the most flack in the new parks that are in my area. You look at Crystal Lake Park, the particular playground itself is a joke. That's mostly going to be utilized by the residents. This playground here is very minimal in comparison to the other playgrounds that we have in these other parks. Objectively, that's not a subjective opinion. You could take a quick drive. And so when we talk about who this park is for, and the mayor had mentioned the 40 members versus the 9,000 units, and then you look at the cost allocations and the contributions and how they've been distributed with the composition of this park, that paints a clear picture as to from the beginning, the intended beneficiaries of what's supposed to be a public neighborhood park. And that's where my main objection comes from. I just wanted to make sure that I brought that to everyone's attention. Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, for me, I think, I'd try to make the best decisions for the community. That's what's important for me. I think we've heard from many of the residents in the area that aren't in favor of having it here. They're not there yet. They haven't put any capital improvements in there. to me, there's still an opportunity to relocate them up at Crystal Lake, which I think is a much better location, a much safer location. So for me, if the licensing agreement comes back for Tropicana Park, I'll be a no vote for that reason. And I think that, we have to remember, and we've heard that many times, we're supposed to be here to serve the residents of the community. This is a nonprofit organization that provides an incredible service to the community, but we're talking 40 members. We're not talking tens of thousands of residents that live in that area. So for me, my loyalty is going to be to the residents and not to a nonprofit organization that has 40 individuals. With that being said, Mr. City Manager, do you have a recommendation? I know you and I had a discussion on our one-on-ones. Do you have a recommendation regarding this issue?
I can't solve the tie break of council, at least the one that looks like it, but I will go to the previous direction that administration had was to finalize this agreement with a concrete wall. So in order to change that, I'm going to need 5 votes to move forward.
Okay, and with that being said, okay, we'll just.
It would take, I mean, I think right now I'm hearing 4 people say they're reconsidering the concrete, but the last vote that you all took to ratify the consensus was with a concrete wall. So it's going to take 5 at this point to remove that.
And then the other, elephant in the room too is when this does come back, if 4 council members vote no on the licensing agreement, it's dead in the water anyway.
Yes, sir.
All right. Any other discussion? There's no other lights on. Do we want to go down the line and see if we want to make a change to the wall or the location? We'll start down here with Councilmember Donnell this time.
Yes.
So there's 2, you have to give 2 answers, you said, Mayor, for the
Well,
wall and location?
Yeah, the wall and the location.
Change definitely on the wall, no on the location.
Change on the location. And a change on the buffering, vegetative buffering.
But that's only if it's a change of location or?
Yes, that's changing the location.
All right.
Leave it where it is and change the material on the buffer.
Change the location and develop a term sheet for a new location.
Same as the mayor.
So no on the wall and yes to the location.
Yes to the location, and I'm good with a plant-style fence,
Existing location.
existing location.
Right.
And I'm a
1, 2,
yes on the
3.
location. I just talked about the wall, so I'm yes.
Right.
Stay
It
there.
looks like that's 4 and 4.
My understanding is Caduc is Tropicana. Long, what did you say?
So I think we're going to have to break this apart because I think some of these yeses on location were conditional.
All right,
on buffering and
we'll do
what
one
have
at a time. Let's do the location first.
Location,
Yes, we'll do that first.
stay here.
Stay at Tropicana.
Yes, Tropicana.
Yes, on the location, stay.
Stay.
Crystal Lake.
Crystal Lake.
Crystal Lake.
Stay.
Good. So there's that.
All right.
No, it's 4-4.
Yeah. 4-4.
I can work on an agreement with the wall if you all, I mean, I think there
We were
is.
here for the wall today.
All right. All right, let's talk about the wall. I think we're here for anything. We brought the way I read it, it says in the heading, Cape Coral Rowing Club Incorporated License Agreement at Tropicana.
It was put
Park
on the cow
discussion.
because of specifically the wall.
All right, let's talk about the fence.
No concrete. Whatever you all come up with, fine with me.
Natural fencing, no concrete.
Natural fencing.
Chain link and natural.
For me, it doesn't matter because I'm going to vote no if it's at Tropicana Park, so it doesn't really matter. I'll say concrete.
Yeah. If it stays at Tropicana, concrete.
Concrete.
Plants, shrubbery, natural.
Okay, so we will finalize up the agreement, moving it to a vegetative buffer with some type of chain link and slats that will be behind that. Understanding the height conditions still can't be, all the other things that were previously discussed, that storage can't be higher than the fence and whatnot, so.
All right, and can you have that, how long is it going to take you to get that available?
We should be able to make that change and have the agreement soon.
All right, so we can put it on next week's meeting?
Oh, yeah, the deadline was yesterday for the agenda, so it'd be on the next one.
Deadline was what?
Our deadline to get.
I haven't approved the agenda yet.
You get it today, but the deadline for all the backup
If I add
material.
it to the agenda for next week, will you have it ready?
We can,
Okay.
if
that's
you
all.
authorize it.
All right. Councilmember Donnell?
So let's get in front of it before we look like Keystone Cops. Okay, they're gonna go.
Why don't we just wait to talk about it all over again at the next council meeting? That's where I'm.
There you go, there you go.
For, yeah.
So they're working on something that what we're saying up here right now, when it comes back, is gonna be a 4-4 no. That doesn't make any sense. So if it's gonna be a 4-4 no, then what happens to the rowing club? It is going to be, based on what everyone has said, a 4-4. They don't need to go work on anything to bring it back. So what are we going to do with the rowing club when it's not going at Tropicana and not going at Crystal Lake? We need to decide that, and instead of it starts going, in my opinion. So we're not wasting time. So I'm not with them
Mayor,
wasting time.
if I may.
Yeah, Mr. City Attorney.
We had a committee of the whole, and as a result of the committee of the whole, we have a resolution. That resolution will memorialize certain action that was directed to administration, ultimately legal. At this point in time, I think you have to follow through with that. And that document must be presented to you all, whether you voted up or you voted down. I don't think that we can deviate at this point in time. So what I would ask you all, if the mayor wants it for next week, I'm trying to verify with my staff that we can get the actual agreement together. And then if it is, you either vote it down or you approve it based upon it being located at which part? Tropicana with the vegetative fence. And if there is 4-4, then it fails and that's the end of it. But to Councilmember Donnell, I don't want to short circuit that because I've got already approved resolutions that require action to be taken. So I've got to bring it before you all.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way for me to really justify the closure of this matter, one way or the other, is to bring that agreement before you. And like I said, it will be voted on at that point in time at a regular meeting. But at this point in time, I think this is an exercise of futility, if I may.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I think we have to memorialize that.
No disrespect to you, Councilmember Donnell. I understand where you're coming from, but it doesn't alter the fact that I've got a resolution that requires it being brought before you all, even though it may fail.
Mayor, I think I still have the floor, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Apologize.
Yes, sir.
So that's not neither here nor there. I'm 2 weeks past next week. All right, so once we go through with this, that we have to, that's not the conversation I'm having with us. When it fails, the question is what next? That's what I'm asking us to look at now. Because yes, we have to follow the process through, but we know right now what that's going to end. What direction are we giving to the club members? So when they come and fails, what next?
I think then we have to have a discussion of an alternate plan and to see if there is an alternate plan.
You did answer the question. All right. That's all. Thank you.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next agenda since we don't have any other lights on. Lake Kennedy. Why don't we go ahead and take a 10-minute break and then we'll come back to item number 4.
I don't have a legal description.
If you practice football,
All right, I'll go ahead and call the meeting back to order. The next item on the agenda is Lake Kennedy Senator Programs presentation, and I will turn that over to staff.
Good morning, Mayor and City Council. Michael Mazzolia, Deputy Director with Parks and Rec. I have Jody Costello here. She is the Recreation Supervisor that oversees Lake Kennedy Center. And she is here just to give you a brief overview of everything that the center has to offer, all their programming. Here she is.
Good morning. Since 1990, the Lake Kennedy Center is a resource for seniors while continuing to provide programs that engage the youth and residents of all ages. It's also where the Cape Coral Minibus operates, helping residents stay connected to services and activities. Sorry. This program is a discretionary quality of life service that's not required by federal law, state statute, or local code, something unique that Cape Coral provides our citizens. Here's a quick overview of our budget and how we're putting funds to work. This slide reflects the past 5 fiscal years, which includes the impacts of COVID in a period when the center was used for hurricane recovery efforts for 8 months. During both times, we continued offering limited programs at alternative locations. Cape Coral has one of the largest senior populations in Florida, making community programs essential for health, social connection, and quality of life. The Lake Kennedy Center offers over 100 programs and receives strong support from community partners. The goal is to provide something for everyone across all ages and demographics, ensuring residents of all backgrounds can stay active, engaged, and connected. A variety of fitness and wellness programs are offered that focus on keeping participants healthy and active. Our creative arts program offers a variety of classes that encourage creativity and learning new skills. In fiscal year 26, so far, we've offered over 50 craft workshops. Day trips offer outings beyond the center. These trips provide valuable social opportunities for seniors to connect, especially for those who may not have a travel companion. Fiscal year 25, we hosted over 30 trips with more than 770 participants. 1 in 12 seniors faces food insecurity, and the Lake Kennedy Center helps meet this need. Through the Harry Chapin Food Bank, we provide monthly food kits, and the Friendship Dining Program also serves over 6,000 hot meals annually. Most are transported to the center for the Friendship Dining Program through the Cape Coral Minibus. The center offers a variety of events. This year, there's been over 3,200 participants who have attended events such as bingos, live entertainment with the Del Prados, luncheons, and more. Our community support services connect seniors and veterans to essential resources and programs. Partnerships with the Area Agency on Aging and Lee County Veterans Services provide wellness classes such as free Tai Chi and arthritis, food assistance, and veteran support. The Cape Coral Minibus provides door-to-door transportation, offering over 10,000 one-way trips in fiscal year 25. It connects residents to grocery stores, medical appointments, and the Lake Kennedy Center, funded in part by the Community Development Block Grant. Oops. Our youth programming offers safe, structured activities with positive mentors. In fiscal year 25, we serve 480 campers through camps like the Cape Coral Police Athletic League. Additionally, over 4,800 youth participated in classes such as karate, cheer, and archery. Our community partners are essential for supporting residents and enhancing programs at the center. Some partnerships we have are the Cape Coral Technical College, Beasley's Paw Prints for pet therapy, and Lee Health partners with Lake Kennedy on wellness programs. Overall, we work with over 30 community partners here. The Lake Kennedy Center serves as a vital community gathering place. Our programs engage seniors to reduce isolation and promote health and wellness, while youth camps and classes foster intergenerational connections. The center provides a space for all residents to come together, access services, and enjoy Cape Coral, supporting the needs of every demographic with a focus on seniors. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I open up for any questions. Councilmember Donnell.
I just want to say what you all do out there is outstanding. I was talking to a resident about a week and a half ago, and they were just raving about the programs that they attend. It was one of our elderly residents, and they just love it. So keep up the
thank
good
you.
work. I just wanted to share that. That's all. Thank you.
Councilmember Steinke.
Thank you, Mayor. If you could go to slide 4, please.
Yes.
Could you just explain a couple things? Number one, whether the subsidy is what we get other than our own revenues, or whether that is, we see the grants that are down on the bottom, but if you could give some examples of where the revenues come from. Obviously, your expenses are visible through all the services that you just went through providing, but could you share with where the revenues come from and then where the subsidy comes from?
So where our revenues come from is for regular programs. The mini bus is in here too, so you see some of the grant. We also do other things that aren't mentioned here, such as rentals, bigger events, day-to-day fitness classes. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, and people do kind of, if you will, pay their fair share for some of the programs that are there.
Yes, we only have a membership for card players, so it's like Snowbird or yearly, but everything else is pay as you go. And like I mentioned, we do have a lot of free programs such as Tai Chi, arthritis, a walking club, but it's through events and regular programs.
So for instance, in 25, the revenues that came in, $385,000, the expenses went out 1.1 million. Where did the 722 come from?
So some of that too was we had a parking lot project that was scheduled for fiscal year 23 and it kept being moved and it ended up in 25. I think that was about 50,000.
My question is, where does the 722 come from?
General fund revenue.
So general fund revenue,
Yeah.
and so then the community development block grant is not a part of the 722.
No, that grant is administered through our CDBG coordinator and the programming that you all approve in the annual plan.
So I guess
those are federal funds that flow through us, through our program and what you all adopt. And we then take those funds and apply them to qualifying expenses underneath that program.
Okay. And so I guess where I'm ultimately going with this is obviously we're in budget time and we're looking at revenues and expenses and whatnot. Is this being supplied with the thought of, hey, just so you know, this is how much of the budget gets directed towards this program in our city?
So we are going through all of the discretionary programming within the budget from the last 2 CAL meetings through budget discussions. As you know, we have public safety, infrastructure maintenance, quality of life. And so we are going through all the quality of life programming and the amount of revenues that we get back from the programs offered themselves, such as those, fees that they're collecting to make for the participants to pay. The idea here is just so that you are aware, we are providing this program to our community. This is what, makes Parks and Rec and our community what it is. Here are the benefits and here's the cost.
Okay. And when we take a look at the subsidy from 24 to 25, that looks like to some degree the most substantial change that we've had. We had a relative decrease between 21 and 22, but then we've seen it remain relatively steady, and then a very large subsidy in 25. What might have been the cause of that?
That was the parking lot resurfacing at the front of the building. So there was a large capital investment.
Okay, so the expectation then for 26 is that we'll see a reduction in subsidy need?
Should go down. It's in this year, you mean?
Yes,
Fiscal-
yes. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
All right, seeing no other lights on, thank you for the presentation. Thank you for what you guys do there. All right, move on to the next item of the agenda is LDC Section 5.1.13E, Single Family Residential Standards slash generator regulations. If I recall correctly, this is something that Council Member Kilrain worked on, so I'll give you the floor first and then we'll go to staff.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, basically what happened was we had an electrical contractor approach myself, and I took it to city manager. We talked about options to be able to have some flexibility in placing in the generators beyond the current requirements, and brought that forward, and city staff has come up with a presentation, I think, that has a few options in it. So if you're city manager, you want to present those now, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, staff has gone over what the requirements are and where we have the ability to possibly loosen those as long as council is willing to accept that. And if we can get some direction today, then we'll turn it into an actual amendment to bring back before council. So with that, I'll turn it over to Development Services to go through the presentation.
Good morning, Mayor, council members. For the record, Mike Struve, Planning Team Coordinator with the City Planning Division. As Council Member Kilrain alluded to, this presentation was really an outgrowth of an earlier Committee of the Whole meeting back in February 25th, where you asked staff to come back with you with some recommendations to provide some flexibility for property owners that want to permit generators on their residential sites. This is a list of the topics I'm going to be briefly covering in our presentation today, a little bit on the background, what our current regulations are, so we have a common understanding of what those regulations are and what you might be amending. Proposed changes to the placement of new generators on residential sites. Talk a little bit about screening options, and then of course I'll be available in case you have questions for me at the end of the presentation. As I mentioned, back at the February 25th Committee of the Whole meeting, there was an agenda item listed as auxiliary power residential structures or generators. And that was discussed. And one of the outgrowths of that discussion was to direct staff to come back with some recommendations to provide greater flexibility for the permitting of that equipment in the future. We would also like to point out that while pool equipment was not explicitly discussed during that meeting, some of the same challenges exist for permitting pool equipment on the site. And I think you'll see that in a couple of slides when I show you one of the tables from our land development code. In terms of our current regulations, generators are allowed in the front, side, and rear of single-family homes, but depending on where those generators are placed, they are regulated differently. And it wasn't until relatively recently in 2024 that the city actually began allowing generators in the front of single-family home sites. Previously, generators were prohibited in these areas. And we do have special regulations that more closely regulate generators when they're placed in front of the home, and that includes requiring an enclosure around the generator to screen it that's composed of materials consistent with that used with the house. And then secondly, the enclosure must be located or set back to meet the setback requirements for the actual single-family home itself. And in most cases, since we're talking about generators located in the R1 zoning district or the RML zoning district, are two most common residential districts where we allow single-family homes, we're talking about a setback for the enclosure of 25 feet. Generators are allowed and have been allowed in the side and rear of the site without screening, but they cannot be over 5 feet from the building envelope. And this is just to illustrate here an example of a generator that was recently placed in the front yard of a single-family home that is totally concealed by an enclosure. The photo on the left-hand side of the screen was taken from a local street, and the photo on the right was taken from the driveway of an adjoining property owner. And you can even see here that when you pan in very closely to this enclosure, this particular wall does a very good job of totally concealing the equipment from view, regardless of your vantage point from the front of the house. This is a table 415, that appears in our land development code. And I've highlighted the 2 lines here that I think are germane to this discussion. One involves generators, and then the line below that involves other equipment, which would include air conditioning equipment, but also pool equipment. And this table is entitled Maximum Distance Allowed from the Building Envelope for Various Design Elements. And you'll notice here that this table requires generators to be located no farther than 5 feet from the building envelope, from the side and the rear property lines, and the same is true for pool equipment. And just so you have a better understanding of how staff administers this particular regulation, I wanted to briefly describe what we mean when we refer to building envelope. We use building envelope basically to be synonymous with the foundation of the building. So you see here in this slide that the foundation of the house is outlined in blue and shaded in, and this is what we would evaluate for setback compliance for a single-family home. So currently, any generator that is permitted either to the side or to the rear yard, regardless of the depth or the size of the house, would have to be within 5 feet of the single-family home. I think the other thing that I would also like to point out here is what is not included in the building envelope, and that does not include, for example, a pool, a patio area, or a pool deck. So on our single-family sites, when you have a pool and a deck and maybe an outbuilding or two, like a shed, that type of thing, the more developed those sites are to the rear of a house, the more challenging it becomes to permit a generator directly to the rear of that particular house. In terms of a proposed amendment for your consideration, we're recommending revising that table we just looked at, Table 415, to remove the restriction requiring generators. And we would also recommend that we eliminate that restriction for pool equipment as well. And that restriction would be that they would no longer be required to be within 5 feet of the building envelope for the side or for the rear of the site. This amendment would allow equipment anywhere to the rear of the house outside of the easement. And this particular relaxation, if this is something that you direct staff to pursue, would in no way protect our protection of easement section. You still could not locate any equipment either in the rear easement or in the side yard easement for that matter, which is currently prohibited. In terms of screening, there's several different directions that we could go here, all the way from requiring no screening to requiring an enclosure or an opaque fence or vegetation. Screening is currently not required for equipment placed in the side or the rear of a single-family home. We did look to see what some of our peers are doing, some of our peer municipalities in terms of the screening of equipment, and the majority of them do not require screening for similar equipment associated with single-family homes. If screening is desired, as I mentioned earlier, options could include plantings, some type of enclosure that may involve either an opaque fence or a more hardened structure like a wall, or it could allow for either selection at the homeowner's discretion. And that includes my presentation. I'll be glad to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. I'll open up any follow-up discussions with staff. Councilmember Steinke.
Thank you, Mayor. You've talked about things that would still apply. One of the things that should be a concern and understood is mechanicals right now still need to be at FEMA flood elevation. And so if a generator, which is the main mechanical at issue right now, if that's displaced from the home toward the rear, there would be a requirement to elevate that generator to a position above finished floor requirement. Is that not true?
Generator would have to be at base floor +1,
right?
Just like the finished floor of a house. Pool equipments don't have that same standard. They could actually be in the special flood hazard area. So the pool equipment, just since I mentioned that too, is treated a little bit differently.
So through the permitting process, and if someone were to submit a permit for this, there would be a requirement to make sure that the foundation for the generator was going to be at that FEMA +1.
Yes, and I believe that's already, we already review that now to make sure that that equipment is at BFE +1.
And would the visual requirements still be there for waterfront homes, where if it were within 20 feet of the rear property line, that it would have to be 75% transparent, which obviously is impossible for a generator. So if someone were to have that at finished floor elevation because of the decline of the topography to the seawall height, to have that generator behind the home, now the generator's got to be up in the air, which is going to be a line of sight issue for neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
So while we talk about having screening around it in some way, you're talking about what potentially could be a generator elevated in the air up on a pedestal to have it at an elevation where it needs to be. Would all of those rules still apply as it would relate to a generator, that it would have to meet those requirements as well?
Not necessarily as it relates to screening. So again, I want to emphasize right now, we don't require screening. So be your prerogative if you want to direct staff to require that equipment to be screened. What I would suggest, and what we have done before with enclosures, is we've exempted them from our fence requirements. We do that, for example, for dumpster enclosures. And we have language in our code that says, for the purposes of this section, an enclosure around a dumpster shall not be considered a wall or a fence. I would suggest somewhat similar language to that if you want to screen that equipment behind the house. So then it is very clear that that screening tool would not have to meet that 20-foot requirement from a water body.
So what I think I just heard you say is that it'd be okay if it obstructed someone's view of the water from their home to have a neighbor have a generator up at a level higher than they're allowed to have now?
I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is if you feel that there is an overarching concern to screen that equipment at the risk of maybe impairing someone's view of the water, then we could allow that in our code with language similar to what I suggested.
I certainly understand the reason the issue was brought up, and we brought it up because of one person, I think. But I also believe that we got to prevent obstructed views. We've done it as it related to how we do boat canopies and protection for boats, that sunscreens and things like that are not allowed because it obstructs the view from a neighboring parcel. The only way I could be in favor of this is if the same obstruction of view was applied to this as it is to everything else. Because especially on our waterfront properties, we talk about 400 miles of canals. Well, that's 800 miles of shoreline, if you will, with homes that enjoy that view. And if someone's able to put a generator in the back of their home, with the fact that it has to be elevated to meet FEMA +1, it obviously has the potential to put it in that line of sight to a neighbor. So that's the only way I could be in favor of anything like this, is if it was still subject to all of those other requirements.
Any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, thank you for the presentation. And I guess we'll continue moving forward with this process.
We'll prepare a draft, and we will make sure it's clear that all the other existing regulations apply to this, so that we'll just state the obvious.
All right, with that being said, just a reminder, last call for any comment cards. Anyone wants to participate in citizens input, please fill out a card. The city clerk has probably already gotten the cards, but if anybody else wants to participate, please fill out a card. We'll move on to item 6 is roundtable discussion. I don't see anything listed. Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to take a moment to go back to a discussion that I had with Councilmember Lehman a couple months ago, where we were discussing whether or not a policy that she wanted to have brought forward would be permanent and lasting. And I had said at the time, there are very few decisions that council makes are lasting. And I just, in light of the discussion that we had earlier related to the rowing club, that's an example of what I was talking about. Our public process under a democratic republic is meant for the continuous input of the citizens. And even though previous decisions by previous councils were made, when it comes time to the council to make the decision who's in the seat at the time, the process, the democratic process still plays out. And so I just want you all to understand that even though, yes, things get retread and things, appear to be as if minds are being changed and promises are being broken, that is the process that we have in America. We need to celebrate it. We need to understand that's the process. And no matter what decision you all make next week, a future council could come and change it next year or in 5 years. It is public policy in America. Thank you.
Okay, let's move on to citizens input. Citizens is a maximum of 60 minutes set for the input. Citizens on matters concerning city government, 3 minutes per individual. Please remember to state your name for the record. I'm not going to read the whole guidelines, but just remember, please, no audible remarks or audible gestures. Clapping is not allowed. If you want to raise your arms to recognize what someone stated, feel free to do that. With that being said, Madam City Clerk, could you go ahead and call the first individual?
Ginny Bunch. Brooke Bunch.
And we utilize the podium over in front of the doors over here.
Good morning, Council. My name is Ginny Bunch, and I am a resident of Northwest Cape Coral with access to the waterway. I am here on behalf of the Cape Coral Rowing Club, a club that has existed since 2007 as a nonprofit for the youth of Cape Coral. My concern is the influence the NWNA has had on the city council members, namely the mayor, regarding the Tropicana Park location the club has been approved for and preparing to relocate to over the last 7 years. Those against the club can't choose between the location of the boats to the safety of the waterways as the reason the club should not be allowed at Tropicana Park. As far as safety, the club has successfully used the Spreader Canal for years with no events. And the seventh island of the 7 islands has a planned canoe, kayak, and standing paddleboard launch where people are standing on a paddleboard. And you're claiming that this is a concern of safety, which launches into the Tortuga Canal. So the claim of boat traffic isn't valid. And if you want to get your boats out faster, pay for a lot closer to the open water. This movement by the NWNA is not about safety, but about inconveniencing the boats. Call it what it is. The city of Cape Coral has had 7 years to address this in the development of Tropicana Park, and to bring this financial burden on a small nonprofit just months before the park opens is completely ridiculous and unreasonable. Your no vote could absolutely impact the survival of this club. The city should support the rowing club as they do other programs like soccer, baseball, football, performing arts, and BMX through the city parks. The club has recently produced 4 students with college scholarships, one to MIT, and the city should preserve the only rowing club between Sarasota and Miami. Tropicana Park will make a perfect location for the Cape Coral Rowing Club. Please don't make this political and do the right thing. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Brooke Bunch, and I am a senior in high school speaking on behalf of the rowing team I have been a part of for the past 3 seasons. I feel it is necessary for the voice of someone who this proposal is directly affecting to be heard about why I believe that it deserves a place in Tropicana Park. When I speak for my rowing team, I speak for a group of exceptional, dedicated, and strong young men and women. Rowing, although not often brought to light as a particularly special activity, is a sport that has contributed to the mental and physical growth, improvement, and wellness of each of the athletes that are gathered here today. It has changed my life, and the experience and training that Cape Coral Rowing Club has given us has both secured a student admission into MIT, as well as inspired me personally to row for the University of Florida's club team. It is important to consider who you are placing these unreasonable and financially burdening conditions on. We are individuals aged 12 to 18 who are wholly capable of following boat traffic laws, make no wake when we row, and even aid in encouraging motored watercraft to maintain slower speeds in a minimum wake zone. When you consider our routine activities to be potentially hazardous, you also neglect the fact that the 7th Islands plan involves the inclusion of a for-profit kayaking service surrounded by a chain link fence. I ask you then why an operation with even slower, less conspicuous boats and often less experienced customers is deserving of both this location and reasonable pricing, and a frequently trained, youth-focused and nonprofit operation is not. The City of Cape Coral does claim to focus on youth recreation and the desire to provide us with the opportunity to continue to row, but this deliberate relocation attempt, as well as the imposition of a minimum of $150,000 price tag for a concrete wall on an organization that cannot readily afford it, is what I would think to be pretty unreasonable, and also a very last-minute attempt to kind of usher us out of an area that we had been previously thought to have as like a place that we would be able to row freely and have a program that would be beneficial to the local population. This is an active attempt to subdue a program and relocate it where we will not be in the way of those who often wish to speed and those who do not appreciate the value of something as beneficial and successful as youth rowing for the future of this city. These are children and these are growing adults that are going to be helping us build the future of the city of Cape Coral and also provide opportunities for us as a city to be able to have a younger population of highly achieving athletes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nathaniel Beacon and Richard Griffin.
Good morning, members of the Cape Coral City Council. My name is Nathan Becken, and I'm a member of the Masters team and the Youth Training Coordinator at Cape Coral Rowing Club. I work with everyone from our youngest athletes just learning how to hold an oar to our college committed rowers racing across the state and at a national level. I began rowing as a freshman at Purdue University, where I competed at the national level and earned a silver medal at the American Collegiate Rowing Association Championships. Since then, I've continued training, competing, and working with athletes and coaches at the highest levels of the sport, including top college coaches and even Olympic gold medalists. Youth athletics are consistently linked to improving academic performance, physical health, and lower rates of risky behavior. Beyond statistics, I see the results firsthand in these kids. I've watched athletes come in unsure of themselves and through months of consistent effort begin to open up, gain confidence, and even surprise themselves with how far they can go. What I've learned through those experiences is that growth comes from making the most of what's available through consistency, culture, and commitment. And that's exactly what defines us at Cape Coral. Our head coaches dedicate over 100 hours per week combined to keeping this program running. And remarkably, they do so while still paying dues themselves. Their unparalleled commitment is driven by beliefs in what the club can provide. As a result, the club stays deeply connected to the community through families, through the members themselves, and through many of our community outreach events. This year alone, our athletes are continuing on to universities such as the University of Florida, MIT, Embry-Riddle, Stetson, and more, carrying with them the habits and discipline that they developed here. For me, my favorite moments aren't the big medal celebrations at the end of a regatta, but specifically the quiet ones. Early morning wake-ups, the sun just rising over houses, everyone warming up in circles together, we're chatting, we're catching up. It's all of the indescribable little things. Those are the moments where the kids grow, not just as athletes, but as individuals ready to take on the rest of their lives. That is what Cape Coral Rowing means to me, helping people grow into the people that they can be. Thank you.
Thank you.
Morning, I'm Richard Griffith, a homeowner here in Cape Coral. I'm also a founding member of the Cape Coral Rowing Club. And I thank you for your service to this community. It is a great community. I was going to talk about the concrete wall, but it seems to be redundant, and that's been solved. One of the issues that we have is safety, and I want to tell you that we have been down at Cape Harbor for 15 years with a higher traffic rate down there, and we did not have a problem. And people were happy to see us, actually had joined the club down there and donated to the club. So I'm kind of at a loss as to why we're having issues like this. I think that as a former military person that's served in the military, you have to be concerned about propaganda. And I see that there's few people that are using the resources to inundate you as a representative of all the concerns that really aren't a problem. And I hope that you're sifting that out. And when you say there was 9,000 people against 40 people, a lot of those people probably aren't athletes. They probably don't have kids. They'd rather go out and shop and eat. And we have to be concerned that we have a security problem in the United States that a lot of, I should say, men and women can't even pass a test to be into the military because they are not able to, function. And they have to actually have a preparatory school now to try to get people into basic training. So I hope to keep that into consideration, that not everybody's the same, and some people are ignorant of our skills in rowing and athleticism, and hopefully you give them the opportunity to come to our club and row. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you.
Jeff Barnett and Carol Jones. Carolyn Jones.
Carolyn Jones after this individual.
Hi, I don't know if she said Jeff Lockhart or what she said, but I'm Jeff Lockhart, District 5, 46-year resident of Cape Coral. Seen a lot of growth, a lot of promises broke. I mean, we're talking about something for kids and adults to stay healthy. I mean, it's a park. So it only has 40 or 44 members to it. How do you expect it to grow? If you're expecting to have 9,000 people, whatever you talk, 9,000 people there, maybe 100 of those people will join. A couple things you're talking about, sight lines. I mean, how about driving down Santa Barbara Boulevard and having a damn car wash staring you in the face every 3 miles? And it's closed down. And you filled up the end of the canal with 70 foot of dirt. And people fought for this, and there's a closed car wash there. Somebody had to make a profit somewhere, and I'm tending to believe that there might be a profit somebody's making with the 7 islands here, and you guys fighting having these people having a rowing club there, but you're going to let paddle boarders, 3-4-year-old kids that don't know what they're doing on the water, and you've got professionals training these kids how to do it. You need to be worried about the drunk boaters coming down there, not these kids. And some of you completely lost me when you were saying protecting the best interest of the neighbors. You say, what, there's 4 neighbors there? 7? There was a lot more neighbors down by J.C. Park. Evidently, you didn't listen to them. I don't know if the politicians or the developers or you guys are fighting, but good luck to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Caroline Jones. Jeff Barnett. Ryan Fitzsimmons. And Ann Howard.
Good morning, members of the Cape Coral City Council. My name is Ryan Fitzsimmons, and I live in Northwest Cape Coral. I'm a senior at Oasis High School, and I've been a member of CCRC for about 4 years. Honestly, before I start, I'm not entirely sure what the big issue is with a lot of the citizens of Cape Coral, with seeing the youth of Cape Coral using their canals to be more fit and like develop teamwork skills that could last them through their entire life. I see this as like as kind of like a superfluous issue, like that means less than developing the youth of Cape Coral. And rowing as a sport is very unique in what it demands from its athletes. It's a sport that demands extraordinary physical and mental resilience, precision, and cooperation. And this athletic environment is an ideal climate for fostering dedication and growing leaders. In my 4 years of rowing on what is essentially a minor regional team, I've won 3 gold medals, volunteered for over 300 hours, and developed qualities I'll use in college, future jobs, and beyond. It's developed me as a person, honestly, beyond what I can even describe. I was honestly very unhealthy coming into Cape Coral rowing. I was about 210 pounds, 6 foot, and I've put on so much muscle. I'm more healthy physically. I'm more healthy mentally. I'm more healthy spiritually. I'm much better off now. And I feel like this is an integral part of the community, more so than someone's view is. I just feel like we should let Cape Coral rowing develop more and not just place them in some sort of situation where they can't move from where they are right now. And that's it. Thank you.
It's a 3 minutes up. Thank you.
Ann Howard.
Good morning, Mayor and council members. My name is Ann Howard, and I'm a member of the Cape Coral Rowing Club, the program director for the adult rowing program, and I serve on the board of directors as the vice president. I'm here today to speak in support of the proposed move to Tropicana Park. Rowing is a unique and highly accessible sport that serves a wide range of our community, from youth athletes to adults of all ages. It promotes physical health, teamwork, and connection while creating a positive and structured environment that benefits individuals, families, and our broader community. What makes rowing especially valuable is that it is low impact, inclusive, and lifelong. It allows people to stay active and engaged at every stage of life, something very few sports can offer. Tropicana Park represents an important opportunity to create a stable, long-term home for this type of community-driven activity. I understand there have been concerns raised about safety and aesthetics, and those are valid and important. As a club, we share those priorities. Rowing programs across Florida and the country successfully operate in public spaces while maintaining strong safety standards, aligning with U.S. rowing guidelines, and being respectful of surrounding environment. Our commitment is to do exactly that, to be responsible partners with the city to maintain a safe and clean environment and to ensure the space reflects positivity in Cape Coral. This move is not just about a location. It's about building something that brings people together, supports healthy lifestyles, and creates meaningful opportunities for residents to connect with the water in a positive way. I respectfully ask for your support in allowing this program to move to Tropicana Park. This is an opportunity to invest in something that is healthy, inclusive, and community-driven. And I hope you'll support bringing that to Cape Coral. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
Alex Mayos, Mackenzie Bryan.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor and City Council. My name is Alex Mayes, and I'm the treasurer of the Cape Coral Rowing Club. I'm here to tell you that the heart of the matter, the problem that we're confronting in finalizing the move to Tropicana Park, is not really about money, and it's definitely not about safety. It's about ego and the lie that the Northwest Neighborhood Association likes to tell their friends that they live only minutes from the Gulf of Mexico. While the Northwest Neighborhood Association likes to pretend they live on the Gulf of Mexico, in reality, they live at least an hour and a half from the Gulf because the entire Northwest neighborhood and the North Spreader are manatee zones, slow speed, minimum wake. And the only way to get to the Gulf of Mexico in a short amount of time is to disregard safety and rip through the manatee zone at breakneck speed, endangering people and wildlife while breaking the law. Another way we know it's not a matter of money is because the Northwest Neighborhood Association made their 2024 priority, according to their own website, beautification of the Embers Parkway median strip. And to that end, they sent it out to bid. The winning bid was almost $800,000, and that bid was awarded in September 2024. $800,000 to beautify a median strip. Do they award scholarships for beautiful median strips? Now, we've been at this meeting a couple times with the city. It probably costs $300,000 to $400,000 to build an attractive yard to contain the rowing club, but we don't have money for that. No taxpayer money is what Councilman Long said with glee at the last meeting. It was then his buddy, the city attorney, chimed in with, "We also need a 30-day termination for convenience." Well, let me tell you, you don't get a 30-day termination convenience if you don't build a facility. Termination for convenience might work at the soccer club, as it was built on city land with city dollars, or the football club on city land with city dollars, or the softball club on city land with city dollars. But you can't ask a 501c3 charity to go and spend $300,000 on a facility and then insist on the termination for convenience. In the meantime, opportunities for college admission and scholarships through the Cape Coral Rowing Club are becoming more and more important as the competitive landscape for college admissions increases. If the city has $800,000 to spend on beautifying a median, I'm sure we can find $300,000 to build a yard for the rowing club. After all, the city budget is $1.4 billion. Finally, Tropicana Park and all city parks are for all the residents of the Cape, not just the Northwest Neighborhood Association. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Mackenzie Byrne, and I have been rowing for Cape Coral's Youth Rowing Club for 2 years now. The club is such an asset to Cape Coral, providing opportunities for kids to be part of a community that can open doors to opportunities relating to college. The suggestion to move the club to Crystal Lake, given we have been discussing our home at Tropicana Park for 7 years, is preposterous. This proposition would only make sense if there was a solution that satisfies the club and city council's needs, but there isn't such solution yet presented. Though I will be going off to college in a few months and won't be a standing member of the club anymore, I am still here today to fight for this program because the thought of other kids being denied this opportunity is devastating. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nolan Ballo and Wade Johnston.
Good morning. My name is Nolan Ballo, and I'm a member of the Cape Coral Rowing Club. I'm here to share my personal testimony about how rowing has had a profound and positive impact on every aspect of my life. I started rowing my freshman year of high school. My friend dragged me to rowing practice just to give it a try. And honestly, I do not recall the exact moment I decided to commit to it. By the time I realized it, I had already finished the entire season. Rowing has not only transformed my physical fitness, but has shaped my character and developed my leadership skills. I have made countless friends, built strong connections through the sport. Rowing has instilled in me a sense of discipline and responsibility, and I've had the privilege of serving my community by being a part of and supporting this wonderful nonprofit organization. I firmly believe that everyone deserves the opportunity to develop the qualities and experiences that I've gained throughout my time rowing. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Wade Johnson. I'm a rower for Cape Coral Rowing Club. I discovered rowing. I've been rowing for 3 years now.
The opportunity it offers me to get into college with scholarship has been proven by our team countless times. Rowing has changed my life. During my first season, I had breathing issues. I had to have a double jaw surgery, which left me 6 weeks with my jaw wired shut. And I lost 30 pounds, and it's tough to talk about, but without rowing, I don't know where I'd be. It gave me goals to come back into this. I came back. My goal first, try to break 2, split, and try to get back into it. Without the team's support and without there actually being a rowing club, I probably would not have been able to get back into sports. It gave me hope, it gave me focuses, and it helped me get to having a shot at a future in college. Rowing's made college a legitimate thing for me and countless people on this team. It's been nothing but beneficial for me, the kids, and the community. It seems you're taking away from all of us based on the potential of development in an area with offering kayaking. I don't know one person in my life that will ever be committed to a college for kayaking or paddleboarding. We all go out, we spend our time, we get up at the bright hours. I wake up at 5 a.m. every Saturday to come out and practice. We come out, we practice, we perform. We have states this weekend, we're gonna perform. Your kayakers are gonna stroll in at the bright hours of anywhere between noon, 1 p.m., whenever they feel like it. That's when there's the most boat traffic. That's when you have drunk boaters. That's when you have accidents. Not at the bright hours of 5 a.m. I never see any boats on Saturdays at 5 a.m. And if you do, you see a couple, they're going by, they don't bother you. They wave to you and actually cheer you on. The amount of times we've done pieces and run by people, go Cape, there you go, row, you're doing great, stuff like that. Not one person's coming in there, move out the way. They're cheering you on. This is the city of Cape Coral that's helping us. You got to think about the residents, I understand, but think about the kids that are getting recruited, putting time, putting effort. I wouldn't be in sports. I wouldn't have as much of a bright future as I do now if it wasn't for rowing. That surgery, it chokes me up a little bit to talk about, but that hit me hard. I mean, we've been in this waterway for years now. We went from Cape Harbor, lots of boat traffic, to where we are now. There's boat traffic, don't get me wrong, but not bad. Even with the Seven Islands District, if you think somebody who's going to be at a resort is waking up at 5 a.m. to take their boat out, it might be a couple, but I guarantee you it's not as much as you think. We put in work every week to come out and show what we can do. Please don't take this opportunity away from me and all these kids. This helps me, gives me a future as a resident, as a person who lives in Cape Coral. This gives us a shot. Please don't take that. Help your community out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Henry McManus and Bradish Kish.
Hello, my name is Henrik Manis. This is my 3rd year with Cape Coral Rowing Club, and I'd like to talk about why Cape Coral Rowing Club is important to me. One big reason is because rowing is one of the few sports that I can actually do. I suffered from a traumatic brain injury when I was very young, and because of that, I cannot do any contact sports. Cape Coral Rowing Club gives me a sense of purpose, discipline, responsibility, and has benefited me and others like me. It promotes teamwork and cooperation. It provides college opportunities, and it has helped me to develop leadership skills. I would most certainly describe Cape Coral Rowing Club as a benefit to the community. I am what is called a coxswain. On the surface level, my job is to steer and command boats. In reality, my job is to keep my crew and equipment safe. After even briefly looking at the satellite imagery of Crystal Lake, the very first thing that I noticed was that there is a much larger distance to an adequate straight shot of water than there is at Tropicana Park, which we were already promised. That distance will require more maneuvering from me and other coxswains just to access a straight length of water. In my opinion, that makes Crystal Lake the inferior option when it comes to safety. Finally, I ask you to take action that will facilitate our growth at Cape Coral Rowing Club and not endanger us. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Braden Kish, and I'm a freshman who joined Cape Coral Rowing Club this year. This club has helped me with so many things, more than any club I've been in before. It has helped me manage my time better and overall made me more physically fit. I think this club shows a positive impact on the city and not a negative one. This is why we shouldn't be shut down, because without it, honestly, would not know what to do with my time. I can just imagine myself being unable to row anymore, and that would just be devastating for me and the whole team. The entire team is filled with amazing people that want to continue rowing and not get shut down. I've made so many friends, and I don't want to see my friends go. So I leave you with this. Do you really want to shut down our amazing club that has done nothing but help the city of Cape Coral? Thank you.
Thank you.
Tiyali Love and Sinobi Love.
Hello, my name is Tayanaya Love, and I'm a first-year rower here with Cape Coral Rowing Club. I find it incredibly confusing and saddening that the city does not seem to see the value in this club, even though it provides community and vast opportunity for all the kids who participate. We consistently earn medals and compete even when we are one of the smallest crews there, and we consistently help rowers get into colleges. All we do is benefit the community, yet we are actively being pushed out of Tropicana Park, and Crystal Lake is not a feasible option. It seems to me that the City Council does not see value in this club, even though we continue to provide incredible benefits to the community. And with no other options being presented, it feels like you are not seeing us and seeing our value. I truly cannot imagine a life without all these amazing people and the community, and the sport has changed my life in so many amazing ways. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mayor, City Council. My name is Zenobia Love. I'm a parent with 2 students on the Cape Coral rowing team. Being here and listening to the meeting today, I think that we can all agree that safety really isn't the issue, and also aesthetics seems to have been settled or in a working agreement for that. We also have heard at length about the benefits of rowing, and I think we also can agree that rowing is beneficial for many people of all ages. So the real question that I have for you, Mayor and City Council, what does the city and NWNA gain by us not being in Tropicana Park? That's the only answer that we haven't gotten today. What are the gains? It's very, very clear what we lose if we're not at Tropicana Park. The options that were presented today are not sustainable. This club gives something positive to all the people who participate. The residents that you mentioned many times, the 9,000 residents that are in that area that will come to be, those people will come to be a part of this club as well. They are not excluded from it. In fact, our club, if we had better area, will grow. It was also mentioned, we are the only club south of Sarasota, between here and Miami. The city will gain so much more by having us in Tropicana Park than whatever it is that NWNA and the city thinks that they will gain by us not being there. Respectfully, I would sincerely appreciate a clear answer of what those gains are. And to those on the council and mayor who are considering voting no to this, I would respectfully ask you to reconsider. It only takes one of you. Please be brave when you think about making your vote on this. Please have a conscious decision of what it is that the NWNA is asking and what that gain is for you over what the rowing club at Tropicana would gain, and not only the club, but our community. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your service. Have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Donna Colema and Marie Kavanaugh.
Okay, my name is Marie Kavanaugh, and here we go again, fourth submission. Apparently, our city manager and our city attorney, everybody's got a copy of this, and you've gotten copies the last 3 meetings. Apparently, our city manager and city attorney don't feel they have to answer questions the citizens present. Secondly, I want to talk about a public's records request I put in, and I got an answer yesterday. And what I'm asking for are copies of the invoices from Fortress Secured LLC for the purchase of trees for J.C. Park project. And they're telling me that I have to pay them $578.55 because it's going to take 20 hours to find an invoice for product that was just within the last 2 months delivered to the park. That invoice has got to be readily available, but for whatever reason, y'all don't want me to get it. So there's that. And then I got this morning for watering. Fortunately, it's not going to cost me anything, but let me tell you what it is going to do. I've been watering only once a week. I neglected to change the time on my, when we leaped ahead, I didn't change the time on my sprinkler system. So I've been watering once a week. Well, this tells me I can water twice a week. So thank you very much. I'll be doing that. Okay. Now, that's this whole flagpole thing. I mean, our city manager played this whole thing loose. I'll tell you, he's been obsessed with it, to say the least. And I want to know who the heck got that 7460-1 FAA thing, Flag Systems or somebody. Who the heck are they? They're not part of this. Contractor is supposed to apply for that. And those forms are not transferable to anybody else. So if ABC company gets it and XYZ company is put in to be the contractor, they can't use it. They have to apply for a new one. So you got that. He's not following the rules. Pulls our feet to the fire, but okay. Also, the donations. The 5 on the council who voted for this flag thing, I noticed haven't, except for Mr. Steinke, haven't donated a nickel. So I think you ought to, work in that. And then comes the thing, what happens if the flag project goes over the $430,000? Where's that money going to come from? And I have a feeling it's going to. And we'll be seeing him come back asking for more money. And for once, I'd like to see you up here, instead of voting in expenses, vote in some cuts. We are going to cut this, that.
Thank you.
Sandra Weston and Kyle Lamadou.
Sandra Weston, I got to take a deep breath. I'm really proud of my kids. I want to thank the city manager for bringing up a very important point, which is nothing's guaranteed and promises typically aren't kept. I find that highly unfortunate because I spent hundreds of hours of volunteer time trying to make it clear to a group of young people that your word is your bond and it does matter and commitment counts. It matters a lot. And so last cycle, when I heard things like, I'm going to finish what I started and I'm going to stand by my word, I cast votes accordingly. Unfortunately, as I'm seeing, that's actually not always true. And people who say they're going to stand by their word don't stand by their word. And it's heartbreaking to have young people witness it because that's my life, sewing into them. So the one thing that I will bring up at this point in an election year is that we're arguing over a park. And it's mind-blowing to me that a lobbying group has the level of influence that it has. But the big picture is that everybody in this town pays for city parks. And what's unique about Tropicana is not that it's owned by the NWNA like the waterway is. We know that. It's not, frankly. And you can call it whatever you want, but it has a special feature. And the feature is it's on the waterfront. And I was blown away to learn as I moved to Cape Coral that, you know, someone who's been working with children and engaging them in water sports, that we're surrounded by water. And until now, until this beautiful state-of-the-art dock system has been put in at Tropicana, there's no way to get vessels in the water. There's a couple ADA compliant kayak launches, but that's it. So now we have one, and we have programs that bring so much benefit to so many people. And our solution is, instead of finishing what we started and following through on what we committed to, let's start over again and see if we can make this as onerous as possible. It's hard to look at this, honestly, without seeing an ulterior motive. I don't want there to be. I want to see the best. I want to believe that you care like I care for all these people. But I'm struggling. And I just ask you to do the right thing and let us just close this move and relocate to Tropicana Park. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Alameda District 7. Great job, guys. You all did a great job. A little applause for you. So I just want to advise that I do have the council rules here in front of me in case somebody wants to try to gavel me today. So I do want to talk about the flagpole donations. And I think it would be fun if we go over who donated and who they are. And because some people in this room said that the citizens wanted this flagpole, we beg to differ. So Maureen Bice, assistant to the city manager, $100 donation. Michael Ilchism, city manager, $1,000 donation. Mark Mason, assistant city manager, $1,000 donation. Connie Barron, assistant city manager, $1,001 donation. William Stanky, council member, District 1, $1,000 donation. Gulf Gateway Realty Incorporated, $1,000 donation. Wasatch Global Investors, $1,000 donation. Robert Sutter, $1,000 donation. Richard Whalen, $1,000 donation. Walter Ilchism, $1,005 donation. Alexander Bosner, city attorney, $1,100 donation. On Point Surveys, LLC, $1,111.11 donation. Autubon Homes, $2,500 donation. LSI Companies, $2,500 donation. Gregory Dimitrides, Forest Develop Me and Gulf Gateway, $5,000 donation. Laura Gorlemny, sorry, people butcher my name, I'm probably butchering yours. Fire Plans Examiner, $5,000 donation. Randolph E. Thibodeau, LSI Companies, again, commercial real estate investor, $5,000 donation. Zachary Kearns, one of the newest donations, $10,000. Gee, I wonder what that's about. Dan Creighton, Creighton Development, $10,000. Andrew Sitework LLC, $75,000 donation. They install water and sewer. Who would have thought? Then we have Donald Hinks, the $150,000 donation. Now, My numbers are outdated, obviously, because I looked at them when I came in the room, so I don't know what's happened since then. But the total donations as of publicly on the website are $301,837. Out of the donations that I just read to you, $276,317 were out of just those donations. And I'm going to go saying that the citizens actually donated, if you subtract those two, $25,520. That's not a lot of donations. Okay. And everybody knows I donated to this personally too. And to somebody who called their $1,000 donation sizable, I donated the same and I wouldn't call it sizable. I think that's a slap in the face to all the other donors. Thank you.
That is all, Your Honor.
Okay, citizens' input is now closed. I'll open it up for council discussion. Councilmember Laster.
Thank you, Mayor. I think, first of all, kids, kudos to you. I may be the only one up here that speaks your language, but I do speak it. The coxswain who came up and talked about why you're a coxswain and why you're part of rowing. It is a true team sport. You are the heart of that boat. You're the one that pushes the power 10s, the power 20s, because you're going bow ball to bow ball to try to win a race. I get that. The young man who talked about having his jaw wired shut, how rowing was your peace of mind. I get that too. And you reiterated coming in at 5 a.m., watching the sun come up, and you pray that there aren't anybody drunk at 5 a.m. on the water, but hey, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. But I wanted to just say thank y'all for speaking. And I think the biggest thing for me that made sense to me in terms of the location change is it's always about the safest distance to the water. And that's not at Crystal Lake. I've seen it. We saw it today. So I'm not going to go back on my word. I'm going to support what I supported 6 years ago. And I just wanted to also say, y'all are so lucky to be a part of this sport. And to the young man who stated, no one's giving scholarships to recreational kayakers or paddleboarders. Spot on. So thank you for speaking, and thank you for hopefully shedding light to my teammates up here so that they actually see what you endure and what you do every day. And then let's see. And to the parents who came up and spoke, you're very fortunate your children are in the sport. It is a true team sport. If somebody doesn't show up at 5 a.m., your boat can't row. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilmember Donnell.
Thanks, Mayor. I did also, I get excited when I see the young people in here, and you guys did such a good job. I know public speaking is hard, and then you're out of school, so thank you for coming I know it's very passionate to you, so thank you for being here. You guys did an excellent job. To Ms. Weston, am I saying that right? I hear you. I feel you. Don't give up on it. You hear me? I struggle with that outside of this venue, but I struggle with that too, but we cannot give up. And we have to just keep doing our due diligence, just keep praying that we get folks that will continue to do things you said. So I just want to say to you personally, don't give up. I get it. And again, you just never know. We have a meeting coming up. With that being said, I'm the old man of the council. You're all here today, but trust me, the other side will be here Wednesday. So make sure you understand that. But at the end of the day, we'll just see how the vote goes. But I appreciate you. Thank you all for coming. All right. That's all.
Thank you, Councilmember Steinke.
First of all, I take issue with
Steinke.
he's not the oldest man on council.
Yeah. Go ahead, Councilmember Steinke.
Do we need to go down and quote all of our ages just so we can get this out of the way? No, thank you, Mayor. Kids, hats off to you. As being involved with our youth council for the last few years, I've encouraged them to encourage all their friends to have a voice. And thank you for taking the opportunity to have your voice today. Many of the decisions that we make up here are based on demographic changes in our city. And the demographic that we have been appealing more and more to are the younger folks, the children, the parents that are raising children, and for you to take the time out of your day, for you to have the guts to get up and speak on your own behalf. it brings tears to my eyes. Councilmember Laster said she speaks your language. Well, I don't speak the rowing language, but I speak the parenting language. And as we look at providing things for our youth, which is such a vital component of our ever-changing city, to have this sport available to them, and quite frankly, the recreation for those that aren't as competitive, but the fact that we get kids off their phones and get them doing something that makes them better of, sound mind and body, all behind it. My previous comments during that part of our agenda, I think I will speak them again. I think it needs to stay where it is. I think it needs to be a more relaxed requirement for for the screening. And something came to mind as I heard all of you speak, and we talked about engaging other kids in this sport. When people see an activity going on is when they ask questions, and when they say, how can I get involved in this? And the opportunity for other children and other families to see those enjoying this sport is much greater at Tropicana than it is at Crystal. And so I would encourage my other colleagues to reconsider, and I will maintain my position that I believe it needs to stay where it is. It's being looked forward to for the last 6 years. In the last 3.5 years, I've been a part of that support, and I'm not going to change the support now. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, I appreciate everyone coming today and your comments, and we'll see where the votes are next week. But one thing I want to make sure that you leave here today with, I did not hear any one of us state that we didn't want you somewhere in the community. So whether that's at Tropicana Park or somewhere else, I didn't hear that from any of my colleagues. We'll see where the discussions go next week, and then we'll move on from there. Seeing no other lights on, time and place of future meetings. We have a regular meeting of the Cape Coral City Council is scheduled for Wednesday, April 15th, 2026, beginning at 4 p.m. here in council chambers. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor, say aye.